Good evening and welcome to the planned Pinardville Ad Hoc Committee meeting of July 2nd, 2000, wishful thinking, 2013. First order of business is the approval of the minutes from our last meeting, which was
on
June 18th. Do I hear a motion?
I haven't seen him yet.
Since I don't think we have a quorum, do we?
You don't have a quorum.
So can we just defer that till our next meeting or until someone else shows up?
Okay.
Yeah, that would be appropriate.
Okay.
Did you give her a copy of this?
I printed my own off from the email.
You have them.
I did send them out prior by email, and I'm sorry, Cheryl, I continually...
I know, wishful thinking, you want to
Forgetting
eliminate
that
me,
she doesn't
Brian.
have a computer.
Yeah. Continually forget to send them.
All right, so we're going to postpone the minutes approval, correction, etc., until we do have a quorum. So the next order of business would be the comparison and committee discussion of the draft proposal that was sent to us.
Louise, there's a chair here if you want to pull it around.
Louise going against Joanne.
Probably don't want to be right in front of the screen, though.
No.
Okay, Brian, walk us through what you've done.
Okay. Well, so I just want to start out by saying I really appreciate all of your hard work over the past week to 2 weeks for getting me these comments so quickly. I know it was a very short deadline, and it's a long document. 65 pages is not a small thing to go through, and pass that to Louise. So I'm grateful to all of you for what hard work you put into this. What we've done is basically taken all of the committee's comments and we've put them into one PDF so that we can kind of go through them each tonight, and if we have to make changes or comments as a committee, we can discuss them each, and hopefully by the end of the night we'll have a version that's what we want to send to the consultant as our preferred comments that will go back to them. So I just want to open up one thing here. So I think this will make it a little easier for viewing. Hopefully. This comment thing is bleeding off my page. Oh, maybe that's going to be... Yeah. Okay. So, I'm just going to start on page 1. And... maybe. And then we'll go through each of the comments. And some of them are long, some of them are short. Hopefully we can kind of get an idea, a feel for whether it belongs as a comment in the document or if it's just someone's feeling. Like, for example, David Bousquet sent several comments, not necessarily that had anything to do with substance in the document, but just his initial concerns and thoughts about when he read the document. So, hey, how are you? Good. You right? You wanna?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm good.
So, David Bousquet, I did a review of the draft of the plan and was a bit surprised by its scope. I was expecting more of an improvement in updating of the existing buildings and beautification efforts, such as improving sidewalks, lighting, trees, etc. I also expected improving the access to the rail trails and the river, improving recreational areas such as Charette Fields and Roy Park, and building small parks, for example, around the renovated Ice House. I also thought there would be some replacing old buildings with newer shops and restaurants, cafes. Looking at the plan, I didn't recognize the drawings as Pinardville. Because I work at Bartlett Elementary School, I focus a lot of my attention to that portion of the plan. The Goffstown School District has approved a renovation and building plan for the school. These plans do not align with the Pinardville plan. There is a lack of playground space, and the new public, hang on, just gonna, I think it might have not shown everything.
Public roads.
The new public
Public, where did it go?
roads would surround the school. putting it on
Roads
school.
would surround the school, putting it on a small island. The Pinardville plan appears, to be taking over numerous homes and businesses, including the strip mall just north of the school for the building expansion. Major impacts will be made to existing businesses, such as the building in Shaw's current parking lot. Do these businesses need to give their approval? Also, there will be considerable impact on the schools and other facilities with the increases in residential housing developments.
Right.
So, I mean, those are all comments and thoughts about his reaction to the plan. Doesn't necessarily make a suggestion about what to change in the plan to address those comments or concerns or questions. I would offer that there's no requirement on any property owner that anything be changed with this plan. So a lot of the concerns about, taking over people's property is, it's only a concept, this plan is. And so, this will in no way and by any means take over someone's property and require them to do anything that they don't want to do. So, I for comments like that, I think we need to just move through them and, not necessarily discuss them because they're not going to necessarily have any impact on people and their properties.
I was just going to help you with the comments. They're all down on the right side there.
Yeah.
When you click on them, they'll take you to where they are, and they're all, you don't have to worry about the bubble,
Okay.
and it's easier for you to read and follow. That's all I was trying to.
Oh, okay.
If you click on
So if
the
I
next
just-
one, it'll go to the next one. If you click on the next one, go to the next one.
Oh, okay.
It'll all show up
All
on
right.
the right.
Okay.
I am concerned, though, that David says that the plan doesn't reflect the school district's renovation and building plan.
That was one of my concerns too.
And I think we can respond immediately to that. If you look at the
Yes.
community facility section, which I just had and lost a moment ago, I think we should definitely add a bullet point. It's on page 35, something to the effect that this would be bullet language, couldn't coordinate with the school district renovation and facility plans for academic, recreational, and community space.
37.
35 is,
35.
Under
we
the
might have
goals.
different
Yeah,
pages.
it
just-
is 37 in hours.
Yeah,
Really
it's
strange.
because I
It is
gave you guys
37.
the old version that had the 2 pages of the regional
Okay.
regional context. The page numbers are going to be 2 pages off from the paper versions you have versus the
We were 2 pages ahead of you.
electronic
great. Okay.
version we have here.
All right, that
What
makes
did
a
you
lot
say
more
again?
sense.
So,
Want me to repeat that language?
yeah, because I'm gonna.
Coordinate with the school district's renovation and facility plans for academic, recreational, and community space.
Coordinate with the school district's renovation and facility plans for.
Academic, recreational, and community space. That probably should be moved up, Brian, to be like the second one. So it's clearly a higher priority issue.
Academic, recreational, okay.
School districts is capitalized.
And I do believe when the consultants were going through this, they understood that there is a plan out there to renovate the schools. And I think they were trying to kind of come up with an idea that maybe the schools hadn't thought of, that they could think about, since their project hadn't been built yet. And obviously they've spent a lot of money to go through and come up with these plans already, but you know, time is, I guess, now to sort of think about those things. So, I guess I need to go back up with these comments too. I'll get the hang of this as we go through it. Okay. Tony had a comment regarding, and it's not showing up on this.
Let me speak to that. I've suggested we add a forward to the report and afterward. The forward basically being a code from our grant application. The language essentially being the Pinardville community is a densely developed amalgam of smaller homes and businesses developed as an outgrowth of Manchester's early 20th century sprawl. It is distinct from and faces markedly different influences and issues than the village and more rural populations of Goffstown. Later development of strip plazas and shopping centers have added traffic issues and congestion, which puts the Pinardville community's ability to control and moderate growth and maintain affordable residential alternatives for the community. The purpose of the project, which led to the creation of this plan, was to explore these influences, issues, obstacles, and opportunities in order to encourage a sustainable community development plan and renewal of the community as a whole through implementation of the New Hampshire livability principles developed by the Transportation and Land Use Roundtable convened by the New Hampshire Charitable Foundation. The ultimate goal of this plan is to consider whether the Pinardville community would benefit from more community-focused and effective zoning, land use, and planning tools. I then would just repeat from our grant application, the Partnership for Sustainable Communities established 6 livability principles that act as the foundation for this project, and then list them from our grant application 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there's a little, basically one sentence on each one. And I'd end that by saying this project was undertaken with the generous financial support of the New Hampshire Housing Finance Authority through their New Hampshire Community Planning Grant Program, funded by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, a cash matching grant from the Goffstown Industrial Corporation, and the generous support and donation of time, skill, efforts, and resources by the community of Pinardville. I think that it's important that we acknowledge why we're here and what our focus is, and also, most importantly, that New Hampshire Housing Finance get credit for leveraging us up here. And possibly this is a place to add, as Brian suggests, something to the effect that this is a conceptual plan which is intended to make suggestions to the community, but does not require landowners, businesses, or residents to move forward with any specific plan or development affecting their property.
You want to add that?
I would.
I think so, yes, definitely.
Definitely.
I think there's a lot of confusion
Yes.
over this because people look at these pictures and say,
What's going on here?
yeah, look at Shaw's, that's horrible.
Yeah.
And it's really just a concept plan. So,
Yeah, the stronger we can say that throughout this whole thing, I think is helpful. And just get
Yeah,
a lot
just
of
to
people
reinforce it all the way.
saying time out, people gotta, when really this is just a concept.
I can understand people's concern. Concepts become reality sometimes behind people's backs. All of a sudden, boom, what was supposed to be a suggestion becomes a law or a rule, and things are done. And so I can understand why they feel that way.
Right.
Especially with government grants. That's part of the issue, too.
Okay, so if I said this plan is intended to make suggestions to property owners on how they might improve their properties, but
No, I'd say, let's make
Exactly what you
suggestions to
said.
the community,
to the community.
and does not require property owners or residents
Does not require.
to adopt any of these suggestions or make any changes in their properties.
Okay. While you were reading, Tony, I switched over and had it connected to Derek's because it shows the fonts correctly on here, and so it actually shows the text up there, what we're talking about. So I'm going to be working on making the corrections on this one. He's going to show them on his,
Great.
Great.
what's on the screen currently.
Can you, on 1 through 6, can you underline each of those items, though? I failed to do that,
Yes.
just so that it's, kind of stands out a little bit. And then there's a sentence that explains
That
what
first
means.
bullet,
Each of those, one,
triangle.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's all I have on forward.
Okay. Down at the bottom of the page, we just crossed out Goffstown, whatever that says there.
Goffstown, New Hampshire.
Yeah, Goffstown, New Hampshire, and like a page number. Then there was a comment from Andy Cataret. We need more quantitative data. Let's see.
I can just, when I read through it, I read a lot of comments about what the people wanted and what the community had, but there was no real analysis of that. It was more like, we've heard from people and we've heard from this. And so I thought it'd be nice to back up those with some actual data, like, 2/3 of the population live in Pinardville, or whatever the data is. I don't even know what it is, but there was no backup of the statements. It was all, that was just my thought.
One thing that I know with trying to get quantitative data into this plan is it's going to take a lot more work and a lot more everything to come up with that type of research. This plan, I don't know if it's necessarily intended to show all that quantitative data because it's more of a visual thing. The way that the consultants proposed it is, here's an illustrative plan of how you could do some things and make it better for your community. And yeah, I know that quantitative data is always great to have, and it definitely backs you up on things when you need an explanation for something. But I don't know that it necessarily has to be there, and I know that it would be a major extra strain on getting this completed if we were to try to add that in.
Demographics on who lives there, I don't know. That's where I was going from, so leave it to the committee.
Anybody else's thoughts?
Going back to what Tony wanted added on to this, and I think it's important as well
Here it
to
is, right here.
state that not only do they not have to do anything with their property unless they want to, their valuations won't go up, their taxes won't be increased, nothing is going to change on the residence or the place that they have right now unless they change with the zoning. And I just want to, because a lot of folks I've talked to, my neighbors especially, have asked that question: is our property going to be assessed higher value if we do something like this? And I said, no, it won't be, as long as you maintain the current use that you're using it right now. And I'm assuming that's what it is, and I hope that will stay that way. It might be
Likewise,
easier.
it's not, the assessed value isn't gonna go down either.
I would hesitate, though, to put statements in a plan like this talking about whether people's property values are going to increase or not, because
Right.
That's not something that we really govern with this.
Right, and when the town
It's
goes
the
through
assessor's
goes through
determination.
what is it, every 5 years, I think? it goes through an assessment. As a matter of fact, I think this is the first year of the new assessment. Property values are gonna go up and down depending upon what the assessments show, so that's not something that belongs in this plan.
We do have to keep in mind, this is merely a master plan supplement. So the question to people is, well, when the last time the town adopted a master plan, did your taxes go up? No, they didn't go up. Because it's really just kind of a vision kind of project. That's all it is.
Right. Exactly, and that's gotta be clear, because a lot of folks think that something might happen.
Right.
If
Right.
something happens, and that just,
I think we have to be consistent in our presentation to the public that that is the case, that we're really just talking about a master plan at this point, or a master plan supplement.
right.
Okay, Dick Gamache, he had a lengthy comment, but I think his comment was just a general comment to the entire plan itself. I'll go through and read that really quick. Community must look forward to protect their lifestyle, and residents of Goffstown, Pinardville are no different. Through many hours of hard work, this team produced many outstanding ideas that could bring our community success in the future. I talked with many residents of Pinardville, and they had no knowledge of this community action plan, and I feel that a little more advertised to get the word out for a better response from our residents would help with our goals. The bottom line is costs, and no one has talked or provided to anyone is the cost to put this plan or part of this plan in action. The way land is taken by eminent domain and how this is defined in general is the power of the state/town to seize private property without the owner's consent. In this plan, there are many private properties that would be taken, and to cover the legal expenses would be more than the taxpayers could pay. Hang on. More than the taxpayers. Oh, maybe
The
I
other action.
skipped it. The other action that would be required, gosh darn it, can't go that fast. Where am I?
Read it from up here,
Yeah,
Brian,
it's
it's
right
clear
there.
right up here.
Oh, is it, okay.
Bottom of the second paragraph,
other
last sentence,
Oh, it's on.
Right there.
right there.
The other action.
Okay, the other action would be more than, the other action that would be required is to change the building zoning codes and ensure that the residents are protected. I've looked at every street, and based on the information provided in this plan, I would like to talk about one which is right next to my house, Cody's Corner. Cody's Diner has been there for over 45 years and is very busy in the morning for a lot of people in the Pinardville, Manchester. And looking at the map of this plan, it has removed all of the parking for his customers and no entrance to his house. This plan calls for a road between the building off of Pinard Street and another off on Davignon Street. The town would have to take a carport, 2 garages, and a sidewalk on the back side of the house on Davignon Street. Would Laurier Street still be a one-way? I know this map is not to scale, but would less than 8 feet because the Welcome Building and the current body shop be enough room to do a business. Mass Road Grain is not open on weekends, and they put a chain between the buildings. Has anyone talked to them about this plan? Let me scroll up there. Okay, where's that at
The
now?
Aubin's Hardware.
The Aubin's Hardware has been in business for many years, and again, looking at the map, they lose entrance off of Mass Road. The road in back of the hardware store between the 2 buildings is not wide enough to make that a road. Each business must be looked at in the way they operate now, and how would changes affect their business. Changes will come, as it always will, and the community needs to stay involved and work to improve our town and keep the residents protected. Nothing is perfect in life, and a good master plan, which is based on facts and people being involved as much as possible, will equal success for all. Okay, so I just want to highlight again, this is one of those comments that I don't know if we can necessarily, change what's on the maps, what's on the drawings right now at this point in time. Our consultants, they paid their illustrators to come in for those 5 days during the Planapalooza. They came up with whatever they could come up with at the time. And, those guys are now done with their drawings, basically, and we're going to have a concept drawing that we are looking at, whether it's taking a shed or adding a driveway or somewhere, that people wouldn't accept. Again, this is one of those things that we don't have to necessarily talk that much about, I think, because it's a concept, and if people don't want to do that, I don't think they have to, and that's it.
One thing that you can do is on each of these illustrations, at the bottom of the page, just say,
Put a caveat.
This is a caveat about this is for illustrative purposes only, for the recommendations of the property owners and the community.
On each
On
illustration.
each one of those, so they see it, that this is just for illustrative purposes only.
One of my comments too.
Yeah.
Going back to, I mean, this is definitely a real issue for some people.
Well, it would be
Yeah.
for anybody to look at this.
But going back to the foreword and the language that was added relative to property owners don't have to do anything, can I suggest something along these lines be added to that?
Back
well?
on your forward?
Yeah.
Okay.
Even where changes in buildings, streets, and parks are shown on illustrations in this plan, no governmental action is proposed to implement these suggestions. Instead, these ideas are offered to the private sector as approaches to the future that cooperative efforts of all stakeholders may support.
Okay. You're going to have to read that slow, because I'll need to retype it.
Joanne, how much of that did you get?
I didn't, but
Okay.
I'll get it now.
Even where changes in buildings, streets, and parks,
Even where changes.
in buildings, streets, and parks, we're going to rely on Joanne. She's pretty good at this.
Yeah.
Are shown on illustrations in this plan. No governmental action is proposed to implement those suggestions. Instead, these ideas, talking like I'm from New England now, ideas, are offered to the private sector as approaches to the future that cooperative efforts of all stakeholders may support. That's it. Not very artful, but gets the point across.
Yeah. Because there is,
It states what needs to be stated.
Well, and I think one of the issues here too is people are seeing actually, pictures from a master plan where I don't think most of the people that have, or many of the people that have weighed in have actually read the prior master plans, and those were aspirational when they were done in the 70s.
Right.
In 1993 and whenever they were done last. I think what happens is people react to pictures, so they're seeing something different, they see a change and it looks like it's imminent. But this is the same aspirational model that the 1970 master plan was. It's just, this is focusing on general commercial. We've done corridor studies on 114, 114A, and I think those were received, largely without comment. I think some of what we're seeing is just the fact that there's a graphic aspect to this.
We've never had so much input on a master plan. It's very good.
No, I think also in relation to what you were saying, Mike, when people see a picture, they think it's a done deal. And it's not, it's a concept. It may or may not evolve to that point. And that's why I like Dave's suggestion of the caveat at the bottom of every single one of the picture, pieces that are put through the plan.
I remember a similar effort in Manchester in the early 90s, I think, where they had a bunch of underutilized buildings or areas that could be changed and whatever, and probably 10% of those changes were made. A number that weren't contemplated in there have been made, but I know that there was a lot of response at the time. People were saying, you know, why don't you like my building? I see a big X where it used to be.
It's useful in the beginning if people aren't aware of why you're going through creating a master plan, what it's used for, and how it is used to inform the planning board. Once it's accepted, the concepts are accepted or not accepted, it's used for the basis of supporting any planning board decisions or zoning decisions, and can help with cases, you know, if there's any suit to the city. If it's consistent with the master plan and what people have supported, and in supporting any CIP issues during the year, that's really where it really counts, is when you're trying to support expenditures through CIP.
Okay. Next one is one from Cheryl. And it's a general recommendation. Cheryl, I took this one out of order on your email, so. you'll see
Okay,
it-
yeah, I
you'll see
dictated it
at
anyway, so I apologize for typos ahead
You're
of
seeing it
time.
at the beginning of the document instead of at the end of your email, but we do have commercial space off Daniel Plummer Road and Route 114 that could be developed into fancy buildings for a commercial district that would not encroach on the homes of Pinardville and could be designed to attract higher paying jobs back to this area, soccer parks, high tech, et cetera. Jobs that once existed in our state but have left due to better tax incentives in Massachusetts and other states. That was indicated on map 1, page 14 of this plan. I note that nowhere in this plan draft has TPUDC even referenced such. All we see are congested apartments, houses, and other unidentified buildings along Mass Road and the surrounding neighborhoods. Perhaps the town could focus on the aforementioned area that might provide some economic development that would definitely improve our tax base and reduce the jobless rate in this area. So, any suggestions on, should we make any changes to the document based on that comment, or
It
note
just
it?
seems to me they ignored that whole area, and that was I was at Derek's table, and I was the one at that table that talked about that whole area is basically it's right off 114, essentially. So it would be a great place to bring some of those jobs that have left New Hampshire back to New Hampshire.
Right.
And that hasn't even been touched in here. It's only been this little area.
So
I know
what
our-
you're really suggesting is expanding one of these districts to include
I don't,
Cody
it's
Avenue?
not,
I think
well,
it should be a
it's
new
up in here.
district.
Well,
Yeah,
that
it's
was
not
what-
even
it's
on
different
here.
That's
than all the
Daniel
others.
Plummer Road, right? You're talking about the entire
That-
stretch of Daniel
Well,
Plummer?
yeah, there's some right on Daniel Plummer that Goffstown Harvest owns a piece of in that area, but there's also, if you look at map 1, you can't see it very well here, it's not enlarged, but it's right in here.
43.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, map
Bigger map.
on the concept maps.
Oh,
Put it out
okay.
there if you want.
43. Page 43, you said?
I do know that as we kind of began this project, you know, the town and the committee even wanted to make sure the focus was on Mass Road as a corridor, and then also on, you know, St. A's as maybe a secondary type focus. Daniel Plummer, I know, is still, you know, in this area, and we'll probably see a little bit of change, especially like as you move forward into the smart code. But I don't know.
Maybe we address it through the code ordinance as
Yeah.
opposed to the actual master plan.
But if it's not even mentioned in the plan,
Yeah.
I just think
It
that-
needs to be mentioned.
Yeah, I think so too. What
I
if we took the largest stretch
Ice-
here
Are you
of
talking about the
Mass
Ice House
Road?
District? Or,
Mass Road
No, it's
connector.
beyond the
that's where Daniel Plummer sort of comes in.
well, it's further beyond that.
The purpose is different, and The ice road, house district.
Yeah.
Could we just add to the Mass Road connector some line to the effect that the Daniel Plummer area is also an area that may, or should be scrutinized for
Yes.
further economic development?
Along 114. It's kind of along 114, it's all just,
Yeah, I agree with adding that, but I think geographically it doesn't.
It
Maybe it
doesn't
needs
seem to
its own
fit that.
section.
I would say, even though
Yeah.
it's not a part of the Ice House District per se, I mean, we could just, because it connects into that spot, we could plug it in as just a bullet point in the, not necessarily in the district part, but in the, or we could have them put a little, a number 8 or something and just say Daniel Plummer Road, it should get a specific study to determine, feasibility of, commercial and industrial development and improvements or something like that.
especially the far end of it.
What would it take to just add another 2 pages with a new section?
We don't really need
It
a
doesn't-
drawing because there's nothing to
No,
draw.
It
It's
doesn't
just,
need to be illustrated, yeah.
Yeah, just-
that's the only,
all
well,
it's something and just have words. I mean, you could write it. Anybody, it doesn't have to be them that draws a picture. There's nothing really to draw. We understand.
What about just adding it as a goal in our economic development section
I could
on
do it.
page 31?
that's
Just say it all right there. and
Plug it in there.
Just plug it in there, and so you have a nexus.
That's what you're talking about.
114 Plummer Road, yeah.
Yeah.
let's see. Economic development.
It's probably 29 on yours.
No, I was working off a server
There it
file
is.
over the Wi-Fi, so
You're
I've
burning up.
saved it now, it's saving to the desktop.
Good,
So,
good.
File.
I mean, it could be its own commercial district up there.
It could be, and it probably should,
Right,
yeah.
just so he has that.
It sort of already is, just enhancing what's there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It's improved the
That's the
existing.
last thing that I suggested.
This part right here is.
No, I rewrote it. so-
Okay.
Yeah, it's all industrial on one side of the road.
Yeah, so, but a lot of it's,
Okay. Focus on Daniel Plummer. Road as a place where new commercial and industrial development can occur.
Can occur with easy access to
114.
114,
yeah.
the highway corridors in the Manchester Airport, Manchester Boston Regional Airport.
The highway.
Addressing transportation needs. Keep it.
What about water and sewer?
Well, there's,
And
it's a
infrastructure-
separate
and
issue that we
infrastructure.
addressed, but
I think there's some of it is usable.
I mean, my sense of our commercial industrial problem in town is we do have great access to, through 114, to that entire vehicle corridor in the airport, and we really don't utilize that at all. We're not really pushing that issue.
No, no.
And that really needs to be
An emphasis really has to be
a
put on
key
that.
economic development and transportation issue. It should be added there as well,
Mm-hmm.
in both places. You could say the same thing.
That sound good?
Yep, sounds good.
All right. Back up to comments.
I apologize, I was working off wasn't prepared to work off of this computer this evening, so I'm trying to copy it over to my desktop, so.
I dropped it on him like 5 minutes before the meeting and I said, mine's not working, can you help? Okay, this one,
That's what coworkers are supposed to do, is support one another.
this was just a general comment from me. Make sure all the fonts and text sizes are corresponding to their appropriate size. Headings should all match. Text beneath should all match. Okay. Da-da-da-da. Okay, on the acknowledgements page, I just plugged in all the information for all the committees, staff, different people to be acknowledged. So I can go through each of those if you'd like, or trust me that we're good. No, I put all the committee members' names on there. I did also include Michael Lawler, and I also included all the, well, the rest of them are all just committee members. Then, and I also changed that name to, instead of Think Tank Committee, it's Plan Pinardville Ad Hoc Committee. Under the, I also just plugged in all the planning board members' names, plugged in the selectmen's names. Under Planning and Economic Department staff, I changed that to project manager and grant coordinator, and then that's my name. Under scrolling down still. Under town staff, I just put Sue, Derek, Neil Funky, Don Boer, Carl Quirm, William Connor, Robert Brown. Those are all the staff people that have been involved, as well as I created an other agency category instead of the school department staff, because the school department really is included in the committee. So under the other agency, I have Colleen, Louise, David Priest, Julie Chen, should hopefully be in there. Let me just, yeah, Julie Chen, Paula Bedard, Friends of the Goffstown Rail Trail. That's it for that one. Under acknowledgements, on that far right bottom one, there says everyone who donated time and food during the Planapalooza. I just shortened that up to be everyone who made donations toward the Planapalooza. That way it didn't necessarily have to be food or time, it was other things as well.
Right,
Space,
right.
equipment, all kinds of things. So, and I just listed Liberty Press, Sousa Signs, Comcast, Canon, High Point Realty, Goffstown Harvest Christian Church, Pizza Market, The Bag Lunch, Two Friends Bagel and Deli Cafe, Keble Corner Gallery and Boutique, Art Made Easily, Gail Lebrecht, Charity Rose, Goffstown Police Association, Surratt's Tire and Auto. You guys think of any?
Have you added New Hampshire Housing Finance Authority?
Yeah.
That would be adding,
That was in the end.
There's more still on this page, sorry.
the name of our, who's?
Ben Frost.
Ben
Yeah.
Frost is the grant coordinator?
I'm gonna keep going. That was for the acknowledgements, or everyone who donated time and
Right.
or donated towards the Planapalooza.
Okay.
So, parentheses next to Town Planning and Urban Design Collaborative, I just put TPUDC so that can become sort of people's thought process when they see that throughout the
You
document.
gonna spell that out?
It is spelled out, and then I also put the parentheses.
Okay.
There's one thing that's darker than those. There's a couple things that are too dark on there, so I said, lighten them up. And then another heading: grant funding sources. This is per Tony's comment. So it's going to say New Hampshire Housing Finance Authority (parentheses grantor). A special thanks to the grant administrator Ben Frost for obtaining and providing the grant funding through the HUD's community planning grant program, and for working with the town throughout this process. And then underneath that, Goffstown Industrial Corporation. A special thanks to the Goffstown Industrial Corporation for the generous donation of $3,000 toward the grant match, and for their time and effort spent serving on the Plan Pinardville Ad Hoc Committee. These groups made this project possible. Thanks again. Okay. Change to. Okay, that's just a coloring thing. On to the table of contents page, Andy Cataret comment. Can we add a chapter on the data? So that was again on the data question. And his list was market rate versus low-income housing, traffic studies, demographics, who lives in Pinardville, politics, housing stock.
Don't you have some of that from your grant application?
Yeah.
Can we, is it in a readable format?
I'm sure we can get some of that data to add in and
Maybe
use
as an appendix?
some of the appendix. And as far as demographics, it wouldn't be exactly the study area, but the census tract for the most part.
That's what's good.
It goes a little. It does include a little bit portion, but I think we can make that qualifier, and then we can talk with the assessor to see if he can give us data on the housing stock on what he has for types of units in the area.
So are you saying we should create an appendix?
As an appendix,
Yes.
just to
Yes.
give people a feel for all of that data that Andy's
Existing
suggesting.
conditions.
So I'm going to change this comment then. I'm going to just say add an appendix.
Pinardville data,
Using
Community data.
showing the following.
When I was reading, like in the reflections section, it just seemed odd that you had all this stuff about land use, but you didn't say anything about the people,
Yeah.
you know.
Who
and-
lives there?
And this is really who it's impacting.
Well, I think you had some great stuff in the grant application. It talked about minority communities and things like that as well.
I'd like to read that. Can we get a copy of that?
It's on the page, and we can get a copy for you. It's on the Plan Pinardville page, but yeah, we can absolutely get you a copy.
Okay, so on the title pages, like for the page that says introduction, I just think that they should be capitalized. I think that's more formal.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Than the, non-capitalized, so I went through and capitalized all those. These are just some, next page is just some punctuation things, so I'm gonna skip those. One thing, they said sections of this plan, I said the reflections section, because that's where it really talks about it, so I'll just keep with that. Okay, on the page 7, let's see.
Okay.
Yeah. Some things will happen right away. We wanted to change that to some things could happen right away. While other things will take years, we changed that to while other things could take years.
Smart changes.
Let's see. Okay, we challenge our elected and appointed officials and the many stakeholders, I'm adding in, and the many stakeholders and citizens in Pinardville with making the community vision a reality. That's at the bottom of that, understand the element of time paragraph.
Can we say a reality that they can support?
We can say
I
whatever
mean,
we
we're
want.
We're making it suggestions, but I don't want to, I'm very concerned that there's not one plan here. There's
Opportunity. People can make it what they want by voting.
Right.
Influence.
So
I want to be a
just
little
add-
more namby-pamby in the industry.
So add to, let's see, the many stakeholders and citizens in Pinardville, making the community vision a reality.
That they can support.
Oops, why is this not responding? Make a new one.
And the only comment I would have too is throughout the text, I made a lot of changes before giving this to Brian. In his previous thought, he he said the many stakeholders and citizens in Pinardville. I would just say change that to citizens of Goffstown, because this does affect the citizens of Pinardville, and we sought their input, but this is a town plan,
Right.
so
Right.
I think.
Good point.
Mm-hmm.
The whole town is gonna have to
Mm-hmm.
yay or
Okay.
nay it.
Embrace it, yeah. I would also recommend maybe changing the word challenge to maybe encourage. I know but it doesn't sound so aggressive, and it might
That's
be
true.
they might receive it better than just taking it as a challenge, a
Good idea.
duel.
Comes out as more of a suggestion.
Yes, yeah. As all of this plan is a recommendation and
Your recommendation is challenge to
encourage.
Encourage.
This is not working for me, for whatever reason.
why don't you just go through it?
Do you want my paper copy?
Well,
Wrote it down.
now this thing is not responding to me making changes at all.
That's fine. If you just go through it, I'll make the changes, and they can
Yeah.
see it up there on the screen as well.
Okay. I'm just gonna save what I have really fast and make sure I don't lose something.
Okay.
There are a lot of shoulds that should be coulds, so
Yes.
as you go through this, the two of you again, try to soften that up. We're not saying anything should happen. We're trying to say things could happen,
Could happen,
may happen.
or may happen.
Yeah.
Will we get a chance to review the final version again, or is this it?
There is
Well,
still a public comment period, so
So some of those wills, if they're,
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna send this on to the consultant, and, you know, if in the meantime we have additional things to change, we probably won't send it to the consultant to make those changes, we'll just make them ourselves, because we're gonna incur extra costs if we try to have them fix it again. But we'll just take care of that if we need to. So, if you find extra things that you wanna change,
So when this is gonna go to Brian Wright, it's gonna come back to us still essentially as a draft document.
It'll come back to us, yes, as a draft document, but in what hopefully would be the form that goes to the planning board and for adoption. And again, if in that period of time, you guys
More
find
changes.
anything else that you
Yeah.
feel needs to be changed before we adopt,
Okay.
we're gonna have a 30-day review period. The public's gonna be
I
reviewing
understand.
it.
Can we have it marked committee draft
yes,
as opposed to client draft, so
yes.
it's clear that it's still in that draft form?
Good, good.
What page are you on?
The process.
If I can open this up again, then make it work. Okay. It's on page. Getting down to it. Okay. I was on page 7 still.
Okay.
We got
That's a good add, all of that.
vision,
outreach
reality
stuff.
they can support. Okay, now it jumps to page 9.
Process, okay.
Okay. Oh, it's strange. It shows page 9 on this, but it's page 7. Okay.
Mm.
Now that's the process. Okay. So we capitalize those. Next page, public outreach. This is a comment that I put on here. It's a fairly lengthy comment, and it actually is longer than what Derek's got on the expanded window there even. So I felt like their outreach section wasn't really well stated.
Yeah.
They didn't really speak to how much work actually went into getting this done. They had little blurbs of things in their other outreach efforts, but I propose that they move those 2 pages of other outreach efforts to before the Planapalooza. It just seems to go chronologically. We did all the outreach before the Planapalooza, so it should go before. And that they use this text here to plug into those things that they did. So I can read.
Don't read it, please, but it looks really good.
Yeah, it
You've
looks
covered
very
a lot of great stuff.
comprehensive.
Yeah. So that was basically my thought. We wanted to make sure that it showed everything that we did do as a committee and as a staff in working on this. Let's see.
You also wanted to bring the other outreach efforts on page 16 and 17 forward.
Yes. So that was those 2 comments that are at the top of the page there. To bring all that forward and to include this text as part of that.
Great.
Let's see. Sorry, I lost my spot on these comments. Okay. Next one down, I had label photo as opening. I wanted them to label the photos. Opening presentation of the Planapalooza, presentation by Brian Wright of TPUDC. Let's see. Just add in, after citizens, add in and stakeholders on that first page there. Yep, on that page. Label photo as visioning, the next one down, visioning workshop after the opening presentation. Next comment, label photo, citizens and stakeholders gather around tables to come up with 5 big ideas that could happen in Pinardville. On the following page, there's 3 photos. Label them as hands-on community visioning workshop after the opening presentation. Again, citizens and stakeholders, so add the and stakeholders.
Brian, do we ever in that document identify the stakeholders?
In this document, no.
Let me see it, yeah.
We
Well, you did in the
We
front
are-
page, you listed, didn't you list some of them on the
We
front
li-
page?
The acknowledgement.
we
Yeah,
list
acknowledgements.
we listed people that had donated during
The
the
Donors, not the
Planapalooza, but stakeholders, I mean, that's like all the business owners, all
Yeah,
the religious
I mean, you
groups.
can't list
We
all
came
that.
up with that big list at the beginning,
Mhm.
but I don't think that belongs in this document.
No.
No.
That's
No,
just
I just-
contact information of everybody and anybody.
Yeah, no, I didn't
in
know
Pinardville.
But however, if they participated in this, somehow acknowledging that they did supply their input, just listing those who did show up and participate.
Or even just,
Well, not,
even just,
you talked about the small meetings we held for businesses? Because
For-
nobody
for-
really
for
did.
the whole weekend. I mean, if we
How
have
many
a,
businesses showed up? Because I was at every single meeting and they
Yeah.
really weren't, they didn't.
but individuals, businesses that showed up,
There were very few.
just
but when we
acknowledge.
talk about stakeholders, we talk about everybody from rail trail to businesses to church groups to,
Yeah.
schools, and I don't think we ever define that. I think stakeholders is just kind of a nebulous catch-all.
So are you just saying, like, somewhere in the beginning of the documents, write a paragraph that just says, stakeholders include this group of people
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Yeah,
whoever
schools,
else?
community groups, arts and entertainment, some of the things from the outreach documents that we,
Do you have
It
a
was a
good
pretty-
idea as to where we could plug that in, right here?
But
or-
if they didn't actively participate, you're implying that somehow they're supporting this
Yeah,
by
that's
saying
true.
that, and they
That's
didn't
true.
actually participate that weekend, because
You
I was
don't-
there the whole time.
You don't want to name names, though, because
No.
then you're going to.
No, then-
Yeah,
no,
it
I-
just-
Can you just do it on the acknowledgements page?
I think that page is probably pretty full. It may even take up 2
I was
pages.
thinking maybe just in the outreach section, that if you remember that outreach
Yeah.
Excel spreadsheet, just categories, not the business names,
Yeah.
but
It's a good idea.
We reached out to the
if
following
you-
types of businesses.
I think he said that in the thing he wrote when you said don't read it all. I think that was mentioned in there from what I read.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll go back to that
Yeah,
really
the
fast. and
outreach
we can
part, he
look at
mentioned
a little
all
bit
that.
of it. Okay, so, let's see if it's anything good in there.
Okay.
So, let's see. Based on comments, we came up with a logo. Okay, 6,000 flyers and 150 posters were printed and distributed via U.S. mail and by hand from staff and by the Plan Pinardville ad hoc committee members to business owners and other stakeholders in the Pinardville area and other parts of town in all town municipal buildings, including Town Hall, Goffstown Public Library. So that one listed business owners and other stakeholders. We could plug in right there just an additional, whatever you want. I mean, that might be an easy spot to do it.
yeah, that's
That's probably good. Yeah.
So let's see.
because we had,
So that's fine, expand stakeholders on page 10.
Mm-hmm.
and it can be just, mostly the headlines from the stakeholder outreach form.
Yeah, we had
Transportation.
the types. Yep, yeah, absolutely. Okay.
So can you add a line in there that says outreach included identification of and contact with a wide range of stakeholders, including church groups, social clubs? And just add to your list.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Let's go back down. So label photos, got and stakeholders. I think that's where we got to. Somebody said, yeah, they use TBUDC. Just spell it out again, I think, within the document, and then you can go to your parentheses. Okay. Getting rid of in the previous Bank of America space.
Yes.
My suggestion was the consulting team set up a full working office and studio in Goffstown Square in a vacant storefront.
Can we say an
Period.
available storefront?
Yes.
An available storefront.
Yes, rather than
Yeah,
vacant.
sounds a little better.
Mm-hmm.
Very good, yes.
Yep.
You got that comment? Again, I'm not able to get this to work very well. I'm making changes here. And then I also added at the end of that, the opening and closing presentations were held also at Goffstown Square in the Goffstown Harvest Christian Church's meeting hall. Because that was kind of the part that was left off of, that we did those two presentations over there.
Okay.
Let's see, at least 70 participants is what I changed it to, where they said close to. On the next page, up at the top, they had said on the second night of the Planapalooza, it was actually the third night, that people attended a pinup, and I just added midweek pinup. On the left-hand side of the page, instead of meeting topics, I said meetings that day, and then some people had some concerns about showing Free Staters, Libertarians, and Agenda 21 as, the meeting topic.
Right.
I think it was because they didn't want to necessarily give people the wrong idea that this was regarding that, this project is regarding those topics. And so I thought of a better way to say that would just be to say meetings that day included elected and appointed officials, comma, concerned citizens, comma, concerned citizens being, anybody concerned with those types of, concerns. And then just keep going through.
That's a
Land and
really good
business
change.
owners.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I didn't notice that before.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other is gonna raise flags with some people.
Yeah, I mean, as much as we tried to, you know, shout out to people, this is not like Agenda 21 and this is not all this other stuff, people still, when they see the word on our thing, they automatically jump to, oh, that's something that we need, you know, we need to go look it up because maybe that's what this project is. Anyway.
Red flag in front of the door.
Yes. Okay. So, next one. Label the photo as focus group discussion with elected and appointed officials on that page. They had a number of over 60 members of the community that was for the final presentation. I don't think it was that high. I
No.
put 45.
Is that picture on the bottom?
I put no. That was the
Oh, I was gonna
midweek.
say there wasn't
That was the
any-
midweek
yeah.
one. That was only about 30.
I was gonna say, yeah.
I put 45 for the final presentation, though.
Yeah, it was
I
more
think
accurate,
is more
60
realistic.
was high,
Did
yeah.
you count?
Yeah, I actually have a list that I counted this people that signed up on it, and it was about right.
Yeah, but people don't always sign up,
So,
and they're paid
They
to know
they
the
don't.
numbers.
So there may have been a few extras, but not that many, I don't think.
I don't think there was 60 because I was in the back. and it
Yeah,
didn't-
I was.
It didn't look
I
anywhere
was.
near 60.
I was counting with my fingers on
Yeah.
how many people were there, and it didn't look like more than about 45. So, again, labeling the photo of Brian Wright presenting at the midweek pen up. Next page, Emily Wright. Label that photo. Emily Wright of TPUDC explains the composite plan to one of Goffstown's policemen. There's another number on that page, over 130 members. I bumped that to 140, based on the number of, again, people that signed up on the sign-in sheets. Let's see. Okay. And someone also put a comment at the beginning of that paragraph, said at the 5-day Planapalooza event over, and then you say that 140 members of the public, so that way people understand that it was over the span of that 5 days, not just one event.
Right.
So, I think that might have been you, Rosemary. Was that you?
No.
I don't remember. Okay. Next page, hands-on workshop table exercises. Tony had a comment. I had a comment that said just the maps were produced by 7 small groups, not just small groups. And then Tony's comment is highlighted, one preferred vision, change that to preferred visions. Let's see. Comment on the map. Oh, I put a comment on the map to number the first 7 pages as 1 through 7. The first 7 maps, I'm sorry. That way, because there's 8 pictures in there, and
Yeah.
one of them is a composite map, and I wanted people to make sure to understand that there is a composite map that was done that wasn't by one of those groups. So I think that one should be labeled appropriately as well. And I also think they should show the entire map. I don't know why they zoomed in on that one map in the end. So I made that comment that should be labeled and that that should be showing the full study area just as the rest of them are.
And anybody who attended will know that that's not one of the maps that was worked on, because there are no red, blue, and green dots.
Well, that's
Right.
why I commented on the fact that
Right.
was misleading. That's my comment there.
Cheryl's comment she basically said it's misleading on page 15, the last map, bottom right-hand corner, included with the maps, created at the Delphi meeting. I don't know what Delphi means,
Delphi.
but Delphi, I don't know what that means. By the residents is not one of ours. It was created by TPUDC and is the only map that shows opening dead-end streets and creating new streets that very clearly run through residents' properties. Houses in some cases. I just thought this should be clarified for anyone on the committee who is using these maps to see what the residents of Pinardville had indicated they wanted to see changed.
Very good.
On the next page, there's a screenshot of the Facebook page. I just made a comment to update that because they made a reference to they have over 100 friends. If you look down in the picture, it's got 93 friends on there. So I just said update the screenshot.
Good catch.
Let's see. Under policymaker interviews on that page, these columns are too close together, or the spacing of the words within the columns is too wide, and therefore it confuses people that are reading through the lines,
Yeah, I know. It
not
looks like it goes
following the
right
lines.
across, yeah.
It looks like it does go right across because there's too much space in between, because it's justified on both ends.
Yeah.
So I just said either separate the columns more or make it so it's one column.
I would just
Have
make it
to-
one paragraph. It doesn't really need to be column.
Yeah. It's so short anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Should we just make that the comment, or
They can figure it out.
either
They
or?
can just let them figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. I put a note on the little flyer picture, just saying that there should be, that should be next to text where it talks about the flyer that was developed. I did put some text in my outreach stuff that talks about that, so they should move that to that thing, I think, to that location. Let's see, font is not the same. That was a comment throughout. Use language on, okay, this is again referring back to my comments on page 10 for outreach. Making sure that these items fit into that text that I wrote. Andy Carteret, note the estimated hours of time, volunteer hours, dates. I did put some of that into my text. I didn't get the volunteer hours put in because frankly I don't have that computed right now. And it's still ongoing and I'm adding it all up as we go. But I mean, if we want to try to put something like that in, we can, but
Well, we're not even halfway through our grant process. So
it's something that's
It
hard
just
to
feels like we are.
kind of plug in at this point in time. So should I remove that comment or?
You could also just say volunteer hours, you don't have to quantify it.
Let's see, Town of Goffstown planning staff and
when we say they're countless hours.
committee members spent hours.
Countless hours. That's true statement.
Countless
Don't have to count
hours.
them
Incalculable.
Also, where it says city departments, it should be, you got it, should be changed to town.
Should we just say many hours?
Countless.
Countless.
Fine.
Really countless? Okay.
Yeah.
We can add countless.
Yeah, because it can't be counted.
All right, so here we go. Countless.
Oh, dated years already.
Oh, I forgot to send it to him, so figure out how to add it up here while I'm sitting here.
All right, that's in. Okay. Some text changes. Okay, Andy Carteret should talk about the fact that the student art contest was a way to help involve the children in the planning process, but highlight that the primary goal
One school did
was
it.
to get the parents to come out and participate.
It's just more of that data stuff, you know, this is very
Work, right.
qualitative, but the reality is we were trying to get the parents to
I actually,
learn about.
yeah,
this
I did
thing.
write that into my outreach text on that page 10 comments.
Do we know who won the
So-
art contest?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can we add an appendix that says art contest winners, and if you
One
can?
of my comments in here was that we should put the winner,
We should
the winner
acknowledge
of the winner of the essay writing. We should put her essay into the document because I love that.
I
thought it
did
was
too.
really-
Let's
thought it
do
was
that
great.
all as an appendix, though.
Yes, yes, as an
So it doesn't
appendix.
take away from the
Meat,
read-through
the meat
of your
the
plan.
document.
Okay.
We should also acknowledge the name of the winner of the art contest.
You could say see appendix in this.
And
one
I
here.
also, I suggested, they have this picture up here, I suggested that they put the other picture in, the one that actually won. Because this was the second place one,
Oh, yeah.
so,
How many of your children actually won?
out of my children. Yeah, my kids didn't enter. I made sure they didn't.
Blinded, so hopefully that's not a problem.
That's okay. All right, so let's see. Where are we? Okay, so I changed to, they've got 3 mediums, photo, drawing, and essay in that kids' art contest. I changed it to 2 categories, which is visual art and literary art. And then next one. Yeah, my comment on the picture was, I think it's okay to keep this picture in, but if we have to choose between this and the other, we should choose the one that won the contest. I think that would be appropriate. I also think we should include the literary submission on a separate page. That's what my comment had been.
Can you put all those pictures in the appendix? That would be great.
You could just reference that in the paragraph.
We could do that. So add, just put all the pictures into the appendix?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. My next comment on the next page was move the common vision to its own page and create a separate section for that. I think it's a lot of people, when they look into a master plan type document, they look for, okay, what's the community vision that was developed for this? And I think that's sort of hidden under this guiding principles thing and should be its own thing. So my suggestion was to create a separate little page that just cuts out that vision from the next page and puts it on its own page.
Good idea.
Let's see. Again, capitalizing on the next page, okay. Let's see. Some text changes, easy ones. Not going to go through those.
And again, I would just go through the document, and when you see City of Goffstown, just put Town of
Yeah.
Goffstown.
We've made those changes
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
already.
We've done, this whole thing includes every text change that
Good.
anybody
Suggested,
came
yeah.
up with, and, and all the typos that we could all come up with are all in the same
Okay.
thing.
Brian, have you pointed out which font? Suggest that we go with the font on previous
You-
page, the top,
Um,
instead of the Times Roman, just the
You want the
Softer font.
the Times New Roman font instead of the font from the
top
future
one?
pages? Oh, that font instead of Times New Roman?
Yeah.
It's a nicer font. I like
It is, you can read it easier.
Oh, there's
You mean the
field
guiding
out, but
principles? Okay.
It's just a softer font,
Yeah.
Yeah.
sans serif, and goes along with all the rest of it. I don't know if it's been suggested or not, but.
It hasn't, so, I mean, we can make that comment.
are good.
Yes.
Okay, so use the sans serif font instead of Times New Roman.
If you need an
Okay.
example, use that top one there, but.
Oh, when you compare the two, that's certainly much easier to read.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay. Keep going down.
Why does the font keep changing in this document anyway? I've never seen it.
I think it was written by a bunch of different people.
That's what I'm
Right.
saying, like
It probably
usually when you do a
was.
document,
Copy,
it's all the
copied
same
and pasted
font.
from
Each person
different
used a
things and
different-
plugged
Yeah,
in.
it's strange,
Just
yeah.
all different people involved.
Yeah, I wrote the goals section, the reflection section, and so I think they probably just copied mine and plugged it into that. And it was a
Okay.
different font than what they had used, and they didn't change it when they copied it in. So that was some of it. And then, I don't know, the rest of it was probably also typed at different times with different people and whatever, so. Okay, Tony Martz made a comment on remove barriers to
Let me speak to that.
quality development.
Remove
Wow.
barriers to quality development while protecting property rights. I'd like to expand that title to say, while protecting property rights, preserving the affordability of housing, and maintaining safe neighborhood cores, as the title.
Mhm.
I'd also like to add at the end of the paragraph, Pinardville now provides a significant amount of affordable housing alternatives in safe, kid-friendly neighborhoods. This housing stock in these neighborhoods should be afforded reasonable protection from increased traffic and material adverse effects of commercial development.
The only word that I might change on there is kid-friendly. I'm not sure. I like maybe child-friendly instead of
Child-friendly.
kid-friendly.
Okay?
We're not dealing with young goats.
No, we're not dealing with baby goat.
I didn't even think of that, jeez. These farmers.
We'll get that going again.
No.
That's really good. I like that change.
Thank you.
Let's see. Child-friendly. Is that okay, Tony?
Good. Wherever I use the word kid, you're free to change it.
I say kid all the time, or kids play in the street. Yeah.
Okay. Back up just a tiny bit. Should we have any? Oh, there was some comments about not knowing that not everyone is a good neighbor, against disrespectful neighbors, that type of language.
Right.
That is somewhat negative and should be changed to regulation should minimize the impact on personal property rights while taking into consideration individual residents' rights and responsibilities.
Yeah, that sentence came out of a meeting that was held where someone actually commented on the good neighbor disrespect. That was an issue that came up in one of the smaller group meetings.
Right.
That's why he
Yeah.
worded it that way.
The way it's worded here is very harsh.
Yes.
It does seem harsh,
Yeah.
so I think that's a
Yeah.
good comment, and I think we should keep that in there.
Also, on the very first guiding principle, I would start off by saying, celebrate and strengthen Pinardville as an educational, commercial, and industrial heart of Goffstown.
Where's that at?
Yeah, right.
Are you reading?
Previous page.
Right.
Oh, wait,
Yeah.
previous page.
Celebrate, strengthen Pinardville as the educational, commercial, and industrial heart of Goffstown.
Well, we want to be careful there in terms of determining who's the heart of Goffstown. I'd say celebrate and strengthen Pinardville's unique identity and contribution to Goffstown. But I don't think,
okay.
I don't
Oh,
think we want
yeah.
to set the village up against.
Against,
It's already,
This says it.
got a,
Kids you love best.
Yeah, I
us
understand.
versus them kind of a connotation.
yes, but we shouldn't encourage it. I agree with
That's
Tony.
right.
So what did you say?
I would change. I would.
The heart of Goffstown too.
I would change the title, but I would not worry about where it talks about being the heart of Goffstown in the text itself.
So celebrate and strengthen Pinardville's unique identity as the
Right.
title. Yeah, it makes,
Right.
that's good, yeah.
And strengthen
Okay.
Pinardville.
Okay.
And leave the heart of Goffstown in there, or remove it?
Remove it.
I would leave it in the paragraph part.
Well,
I don't
you're-
think it.
I'm comfortable with it in the paragraph.
Yeah, because
but
we are somewhat the
over-highlighted.
commercial and industrial heart of it. We do provide a lot of the tax space.
Okay.
So change the title or change the
the-
paragraph?
The title.
Louise, you may not know that there's this village versus Pinardville.
Oh, yes.
West side, east side.
It's infamous, yeah, exactly. It's the same thing in
I
Manchester.
used to work at Bywise. you know.
That's right.
And you would know.
That's old.
That's,
Not you working at Bio.
You okay?
Okay.
All right, moving on.
A little bit.
How we doing? I get back down, sorry. Okay.
You don't think putting an educational heart of Goffstown in there is, commercial industrial is kind of, people don't have an emotional attachment to it, but educational heart of Goffstown is.
Yeah, you may be right.
I think St. A's is
Oh.
the reasoning for that.
But how many people, I agree with John, how many people are gonna think about St. A's? They're gonna think
I'm
about the
thinking
school.
about
That's,
the
I didn't think
grade
of St.
school.
A's. I
They're gonna
thought
think of the grade
yeah.
school, the high school,
I don't,
the kindergarten.
Yeah, but St. A should be celebrated. I mean,
Yes,
that's
it
a
should.
college in the town. You wouldn't
But,
even know.
so let's identify it in some way.
Higher education.
I mean, the problem with dragging St. A's into things is they don't want to be dragged into things.
Yeah.
They're
They
in-
want to be an island in
Right.
themselves.
They're their own district in here, though.
they say that.
Yeah,
in
but they don't
Manchester.
want their name necessarily.
Oh,
But when
It's-
people think of Pinardville and education, they think of Bartlett School, period, end of subject.
That's what I thought of, but I didn't even think of St. A's.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I thought of St. A's. But,
But you're an educator, Dave.
well, yeah.
I think John's right, maybe
I
just
think
take out
the voters that are
educational.
gonna be deciding this are not thinking about St.
Say
A's.
no.
No, they're not.
I
They're
just
gonna
think
be
take out
thinking Bartlett.
educational might be a
They
good idea.
What if we simplify it to Pinardville is an educational, commercial and industrial hub of Goffstown, rather than heart of?
Yeah,
Hub is better than.
Hob is
Hub.
much better. Very good.
And change the word the to and.
Yes.
Following up
Yes.
on John's comment, can we say Pinardville is the commercial and industrial hub of Goffstown and a college community?
More specific.
As well as home to St. Anselm's or.
Just say and a college community. I mean, we're
And a
trying to,
and a
we're trying to
college. Okay.
just identify the fact that it is a
So
college
just
community,
commercial and industrial hub of Goffstown and a college community.
which should be celebrated and strengthened.
The reason why I put celebrate and strengthen was because there was an action verb on each of the other ones, and so I wanted to kind of set the tone. That's what I wanted to do. So
It's actually the residential heart of Goffstown as well.
It is, yeah.
the hub.
We are really Goffstown. Goffstown just doesn't know
I
it.
challenge this a little bit. Is it, that's what we're really trying to strengthen with this, though? Are we trying to make this livable, workable, or walkable community? Is that the imagery that we're trying to bring out, that it's
Yeah, actually,
strengthening the
you've got a
commercial
good
and
point, yeah.
industrial point? I thought that's what
Well,
we
I
were
think
trying
that feeds into the whole sustainability aspect of it. I mean, if you want to have a sustainable community, it's business,
You gotta
it's
have business.
residents.
I understand the
it's-
need
Why do
it,
we
but
need
I'm
that
just
first
saying,
sentence
it's the
at all?
first
Can I ask
first
me?
paragraph, it's
Do we need it?
It's what we're kind of making as our statement here, but I thought the point was to kind of soften that and.
Do we need the first sentence
Strengthen
at
the
all?
walkability, strengthen the pedestrian aspects of this community, not necessarily the industrial and commercial aspects of it.
They need to have a reason to walk down there, though. And that's
I
the.
completely agree, I'm just saying as a statement, it's the first statement. And I don't know if that's necessarily the point of what we're doing. That's
Why
okay.
can't you just take out the first sentence altogether? Is it really necessary? You can start with encourage and it still works out.
Throwing it out there, I'm not.
No, I think you've
I'm
got
not
a good
strong
point.
putting
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
focusing on the residential, I think is helpful. Perhaps we can say, we can start by saying Pinardville is, and don't hold me to those words, the most densely populated residential community in Goffstown. But Pinardville is also the commercial and industrial hub of Goffstown and a college community. All of these aspects should be celebrated and strengthened.
For a complete community, basically,
Complete
yeah.
community.
Yeah.
David, does that meet your goal?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, so
So it would be Pinardville is the most densely populated residential community in Goffstown, period. But Pinardville is also the commercial and industrial hub of Goffstown and a college community, period.
Densely residential area of Goffstown.
That's what
All of these aspects
he said.
should be celebrated and strengthened for a complete community.
Community, yeah.
Was that, but Pinardville is the educational, commercial, and industrial hub, or you?
Not
you had-
educational, just.
Just
No, commercial and industrial hub
Hub.
of
Okay.
Goffstown and the
And-
college community.
And the college.
Period. All of these things,
All of these aspects should be celebrated and strengthened.
And a college community.
For a complete community.
You're kind of getting like the same words that.
I don't like the word but.
Yeah, I don't either. Start it, go to the top,
Just
just see the whole
take the
thing.
butt out.
In addition.
Yeah, there we go.
What if we just put as well as the commercial industrial hub?
You got a real long sentence.
Yeah, it just.
Is also.
It,
Yeah, you could put an and in there and take out
I think,
Pinardville.
I think Brian probably captured
well
it
as,
better.
I think I have
As
it.
well as-
Pinardville is the most densely populated residential community in Goffstown. Oh, I have but there too.
As well as?
Pinardville is
Well,
also the commercial and industrial hub of Goffstown and a college community. All of these aspects should be celebrated and strengthened.
It's redundant.
Okay.
As a community.
For a
There's
complete,
too many
As a
redundant.
complete community. And strengthened as a complete community.
As a
For a
complete
complete
community.
community.
for a complete.
Or complete.
Good.
Well, if we say for, we're saying it's not really a complete community now.
It isn't. That's what we're trying to do.
Well, not everybody agrees with that, though.
Some
There
of us
goes
who
it-
live there might think
Yeah.
otherwise.
No, but I'm saying, otherwise, why are we doing this?
I don't know sometimes,
Yeah.
but, hey.
For a complete community.
So what does the whole thing
As.
turn out to be?
As, I'm for as.
That's fine.
Can you read it back one more time, Brian?
Yeah.
Pinardville is the most densely populated residential community in Goffstown. Pinardville is also the commercial and industrial hub of Goffstown and a college community. All of these aspects should be celebrated and strengthened as a complete community.
I don't like it.
Yeah, this is a challenge.
Clumsy.
It does seem a
And
little.
it's
clumsy.
just improved
Can you
every
put it
year.
Yeah,
and-
we can
We can wordsmith
You know,
This is going
Something
out.
nice.
Presumably, Brian Wright is gonna have some editorial input going forward.
No, I would just say to people in Goffstown, which would have,
Okay.
there might be some
Move
people
on.
in Bedford, Manchester reading.
Okay, good.
They might take into some of our ideas on that, those fringe areas
Back
that
down to that.
connect to Goffstown. I would hope they would, so there would be a smooth
I
transition.
wouldn't focus on any typos, it's just sort of
Adjacent
just substantive comments.
Did you bring a,
Promote the word college. College is college.
I need to
Yes,
head out.
Andy?
I need to head out, so.
Do we have a quorum, though, before Andy leaves?
yes, before Andy leaves, we do, so we can go back and,
I'll make a motion.
To approve the minutes,
To
I'll
approve the
second that
minutes?
motion.
okay. I have some corrections, does anybody else?
No?
Okay. On page 1, under presentation of first draft, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, the 8th line, the first word. It was not hidden meetings, it's hidden meanings.
Oh,
Oh, you found out.
Yeah.
Who told her?
oh, the code has been broken.
On page 7, where was it on page 7? 1, 2, 3, fourth line from the bottom, or fourth comment from the bottom. Brian Rhodes said that the consultants have it. Have what?
I think have had it.
Tony Mart said we've not
What
seen
page is
anything on
this?
that at all, and it will be more technical. Brian Rose said the consultants have it.
Meaning
What is it?
a preliminary draft of the code.
Then let's say that.
So Brian Rose said the consultants have a preliminary draft of the code.
Okay. Then on page 8,
Wow.
the 5th group down, Mike Lawler said if we can, the comments prior to the meeting, it will go faster. I think the word receive should be put in there, said if we can receive the comments prior to the meeting, it will go faster. And that was it for my comments. Anybody else have any corrections, suggestions, deletions?
Tell me where that first change was?
On the first page, meetings should be meanings. I liked it with meetings, but, you know,
Could you see that going on?
it jumped out at me and said, what?
Should I make a motion to accept the minutes with the proposed changes?
Okay,
Second.
okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Abstention, I wasn't here.
Any opposed? Abstaining? 1, 2, 3, 4.
So 4 in favor?
4 abstaining. Louise, John, David, and Jesse Lynn.
How many in favor?
1,
We
2,
have 7.
1,
Yeah.
2, 3, 4, 5,
Mike must
6.
be in favor, right?
6 in favor?
Approval?
No, I'm just a decoy.
Mike is Tony's appendage.
Ouch.
Oh, wow, I'm not even touching that one.
I was sitting
I
somewhere else
consider
now.
him to be an appendix.
Okay.
Isn't that something you don't really need?
It can be removed.
When it goes
Okay.
bad, you know it's coming.
Moving right along.
The minutes have been passed. We can return to what we were doing, and Andy, if you must leave, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andy.
Good night.
Good night. Oh, Andy, you forgot your bag.
Do we have a electrical hookup that will work on your computer? She's
Not
got
unless
20
you
minutes
have
left on her
another-
battery, she said.
There's one in the middle, right?
Oh, yeah, there is a plug here. Do you have a plug for your computer?
No.
You've got a Dell?
Yeah. You have another one? I thought it had more life to it. It's been plugged in for days. I must be getting too old.
Possible different voltage, make sure it works.
There's no representative from the fire department here, just
Just, we don't have to worry about that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Derek to the
Save the day.
rescue.
Derek saved the See, I told you he was here for
I
technical
thought we only
support.
had 20 minutes left in you.
Okay,
Okay.
let's continue.
So, trying to make sure that
my question here is there a regional section?
well, we had taken it out because I hadn't populated it initially. I think we could easily add it back in and add what the language, I just never came up with any language, and I didn't feel like it was necessary
And
to have
I-
it there, but.
I think it's important to mention the regional aspect if for no other reason the statute requires a master plan, talking about
Mhm.
regional aspects to some extent. So I propose language, in addition to sharing southern New Hampshire's unique location with easy access to Boston, as well as New Hampshire's seacoast, lakes, mountains, Pinardville is already a vibrant focal point for residential life and local community activity. Its businesses serve all of Goffstown, as well as significant portions of Manchester and Bedford. Pinardville is in fact not just Goffstown, but the Pinardville community includes those portions of Manchester's west side from the western terminus of the Nazir Byron Memorial Bridge to and along the Manchester portion of Mast Road to Varney Street. Pinardville also includes portions of both Manchester and Bedford, where we share the campus boundaries and facility of St. Anselm College. It is the gateway to Goffstown from all points south and east. Easy access to center city Manchester on the one hand, and the transportation opportunities of the Manchester Regional Airport and the Route 93 and F.E. Everett Turnpike corridors on the other provide Pinardville with an important advantage for its residents and businesses. Is that regional enough?
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
nice.
And we can easily tell them, add back in that little map that, we
Shows where it
came
is. That
along
map
with
would
that,
be
and
really
shows
nice,
where we
yeah.
are, and we'll have to make a comment on that to just move some of the text on that map because it was a little off, but that's fine. I think that is a good addition. Okay. Again, just some more wordsmithing. I don't know if we necessarily need to discuss them. David Priest on this page says, I strongly recommend that you consider a zoning overlay zone that incorporates many of the smart code tools, but also provides incentives to the property owners. On this comment, David, are you suggesting a veering away from the smart code thing and doing an overlay
Yes.
zone?
Yes.
Can that decision be made during the point where we get to the smart code rather than be proposed in the community?
Yeah,
plan?
I don't want people to be freaked out that their property's gonna be rezoned to something that they don't know about.
Right, I think it's worth
It's
waiting.
very valid, and by saying an overlay, they keep the underlying zoning if they want to, if they want to go with the overlay, and do some of the smart plan tools, then so be it. That's even
The
better.
problem I
I
have is
think-
we don't know now whether our proposed code's gonna be an overlay or not an overlay.
I think the code is sort of going to be set up that way anyway, so I think we may be able to just.
But just put what I'm saying is, make it as flexible as you can in there, so they don't have a panic attack and think that that's a rezoning that's gonna be happening.
What is an overlay? I don't know zoning, so what is an overlay? I know what zoning is, but what do you mean by an overlay
An
zoning?
overlay is where you have a zone, and then you sort of create another little zone that bubbles over that talks to certain things, but not everything. So like, for example, we have Wetland Surface Water Conservation District. That's sort of an overlay zone where it talks to properties that are within 100 feet of a wetland buffer. You have certain rules in the regular zoning, but then when you are close to a wetland, you have another rule. And so that new rule sort of trumps the underlying zone.
Like a historic district overlay or a aquifer protection overlay or something like that. It's
So the overlay will still affect everybody that is underneath that dome.
It'll still
regardless.
affect everyone.
It can, but there's
It
also other
can.
communities like Bedford, they have a smart zoning portion where
Which is
it's
an option.
optional. It's
Yeah.
given as an option to property owners, and
Yeah.
like David's pointed out, it gives incentives, but,
For instance, the one in Bedford along Route 3, they're trying to encourage smart growth and mixed use. The underlying zone is commercial with residential on the perimeters. This overlay kind of encompasses both the residential and the commercial, but it gives that option to the property owners that if in the future they decide to maybe rethink their properties, there's another option out there for them to consider.
But it's not enforced upon them.
It's not. It's an option for them. In order for them to do this overlay zone, they have to, do certain things.
Okay.
But it's not required. They're not forced to doing this overlay.
David,
It's
can we
an
take that
option.
last sentence, and instead of saying new zoning, can we say re-examined in flexible zoning in Pinardville, the smart code may help to create?
Sure, that's fine.
I like that.
Re-examined and flexible, change will to may. There are a couple issues on this page that caught my attention. Most importantly, in the second line, talks about the nodes will become new activity centers. I'd like to say new and reinvigorated activity centers, because some of them are there.
Yeah.
The second is when it talks about keeping our educated people. I'd like to
Keeping our
say,
educated people.
Newly
keeping
educated?
more of our highly educated and skilled workforce here at home.
That's true, that's right. So we can keep the educated people, the rest of us can just leave.
And then I'd like to
Bye.
add a line that says, the SMART code is intended to provide local residents more input and control over how their community develops in the future. As a final line.
That makes better sense.
Is there a
I
place
think-
to get a definition of smart code? We've said that, we've used that term several times. Is there
You can go online, you can go on the TPUDC line, but
there's a definition of it?
I do have one somewhere.
Interesting point, should we put one in here?
Yeah, as
You
a
know, I mean, I've read
reference.
things of it, I've defined it.
Or I guess it'll show up in the other one.
yeah,
Like,
I don't even like using the term smart code at all,
I don't,
because
yeah.
Because it's just
But
kind
that's what it is, though. You can't try to change what it is. I mean, it is called smart code.
It's a zoning ordinance.
Yeah.
I mean,
can we take out the parenthetical smart code altogether, and then that last sentence
Use the-
staying, instead of saying smart code is intended, we could say flexible zoning should provide
flexible and innovative.
flexible and innovative zoning.
So it kind of relates to some new ideas that could be implemented, but it doesn't give it a brand that we don't.
Right. Should provide local residents more input and control, et cetera.
But I think that smart code is throughout. I like the
Yeah,
change there,
It
but
is throughout.
smart
I
code
mean,
is.
it's what it is, though.
The only
I
thing
mean,
is, I mean, yeah, that's what we're doing anyway. I mean, it's not like we're gonna necessarily change that halfway through the process, I don't think. And again, you know, this plan is sort of set up to, you know, be the base that we do our smart code off of. So, I mean, this is supposed to lead into that as our reason why we're doing it.
But I think we should be upfront about it in the very beginning and saying that it is more flexible and innovative. And so
Yeah.
it kind of eases the fears of the reader.
Is there a blurb definition you could add in the appendix?
We probably could find something.
That would be worthwhile then, and we'll keep it in.
Yeah.
Sure.
And we all know what we're talking
Like
about.
contractual obligations, you know,
Sure.
what's that?
Yeah.
Can be a whole bunch of things that nobody, these are just terms we're throwing. Anyway, I think it's important.
Yeah,
That's good.
That's a good
Now,
good point.
as far as David's comment about it being, you know, an overlay, should we wait to actually say something to the consultant until we get to the zoning portion? I think that would
keep it
probably be
vague.
right.
Keep it vague until we get to that point.
Okay, so we'll just.
One innovative is fine.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on.
David had a very good comment on this first land use goal.
Yeah, South Willow Street should be changed to commercial strip
Yep.
corridor.
I like that.
We shouldn't be
well,
pointing fingers
There was
at anybody.
actually another comment from Derek that I inserted here. He rewrote this whole section, basically saying, implement smart code that will enhance the design of commercial development along Mast Road to avoid problems such as increased traffic congestion, limited parking, and lack of connectivity, and walkability common to traditional suburban strip-style development.
That's good.
That's fine, that's great. Yeah.
And just switch walkability and lack of, so it doesn't look like lack of walkability.
Lack of
Oh, that's
connectivity
true.
and
Yeah.
I would suggest maybe change it to
Oh, yeah. That's true.
what?
suburban
Oh, I
highway commercial type development rather than strip type development, because we have some
Strip
suburban
malls,
strip
yeah.
type development in there.
I'm sorry, what was that
I was
suggestion?
suggesting changing from, I believe you said suburban. strip
Traditional
type-
suburban strip-style development.
Yeah,
Oh, he
to
wants to avoid that. He wants to avoid that.
suburban highway commercial type
To avoid
development.
problems such
Oh, got it, yes.
Yeah.
Just because we do
Okay.
have some suburban
You got it.
strip style development.
Mhm.
Highway commercial style,
Yes.
That's a good point.
You had it right.
Oh, I
Joe just
did?
corrected me, you had it right.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll take out the one that David put in there about commercial strip center, and we'll keep the one that Derek said.
Great.
Maybe if I can get my thing to delete.
I just want to move move on to the next one, I've got the change.
Tony Mart's comment.
I would like to insert a comment that says, and this should be a prioritized bullet that should be first, second, or third, preserve and protect the residential neighborhoods that abut Mass Road and in the Moose Club Park and Rockland Avenue areas where affordable and safe residential alternatives are available and need to be maintained. Consider new internal street connections only where existing road infrastructure does not put undue burdens on these neighborhoods.
Good.
I like
That's
that.
good.
And Moose Club is 2 words.
Okay.
Do I have the right neighborhood when I say Moose Club and Rockland?
Rockland's down by St. A's.
Right.
Yeah, Cumberland
Okay.
Farms in that area, yeah.
And the, what do we call, what I call the generals, Pershing and all of those others?
Joffrey, Hague, and
Joffrey,
Patani.
Hagen, Patane.
Is that, but is there a neighborhood name for that, or is it just?
Not really, no.
I don't think so.
Rockland Ave goes into Manchester by Pinardville.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think neighborhoods that abut Mass Road
Okay.
and these other ones are fine.
I guess there are 2 things, abut Mass Road and then Moose Club.
Moose Club and then Rockland.
Right.
Avenue, yeah.
Use those as examples too, just say such as.
What have you put in there, such as Joffrey, Patani?
I don't want to make it too big.
Okay.
No.
I've got the change. You just move on to the next comment.
All right. Colleen, she made a comment, says, people seemed a bit concerned about where we will park if the sea of parking outside Shaw's goes away. I don't know if it should be in this document or just part of a final presentation, but some explanation to the general public about the concept of shared parking might help eliminate some of those concerns.
That may be in the code or the code presentation, because I think there are going to be some incentives towards shared parking and some other things.
Okay.
Well, where you say decrease parking requirements, could we say decrease parking requirements and increase shared parking?
We can say whatever we want.
Or maybe shared parking allowance.
I kind of went with study the feasibility of decreasing the parking requirements.
Yeah.
Because I
That's
think,
the next statement.
yeah.
David says, I would reword this goal, study the feasibility of decreasing the parking requirements.
I'm all for shared parking, but we need to have a study that's to show that this is really feasible before people can buy off on it. And I don't think it's that time sensitive. I think it's something that we just need to prove to the planning board and to the community that this is feasible.
Study and justify the potential to decrease the parking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Something
I
along
like
those lines.
that.
Because, people panic when they think parking's going to be decreasing in some of the developments and they're going to be flooding down their streets and they won't have parking, cars parked in front of their houses at all hours. And,
Decrease the required parking.
yeah.
We need Manchester's first parking czar. Brandy was her name?
Oh, yes, Brandy Stanley.
Oh, she was great.
She was tremendous.
She was great.
The most profitable sector of all Manchester.
Yep.
And people are happy about it.
Got rid of all the meters.
Gone.
She was good.
Okay.
Las Vegas.
On the last bullet
Why?
point
I
there,
don't know.
I put a few just thes and thes, and last line, school, the open space on the elementary school property should be, and it says developed and used for the children. I say it should be acquired and developed for use by the children.
And we'll soften that should.
To be a could.
Yep.
Okay. Civic and recreational space, I think, should be called open space. I think somebody else made that comment too.
Space.
I don't think people understand the word civic space
No.
very well. And I think it serves better to be just in the text of the document versus in the title of it, so the people understand what they're reading.
Could you say
It's an
open
space.
spaces, not open space? Open
I-
space means
Open
bad
space.
things.
I think
It's
open
like-
spaces seems not very
What's wrong with the
technically
title now?
English.
The problem with open space is it means something very specific to land use lawyers and developers, and it's a bad thing.
Open spaces
Open space.
Singular.
is a bad
Open
thing.
space
Turn it
means, instead of doing a traditional subdivision, I now need to do some kind of convoluted type of thing and preserve all of this conservation land.
Yeah.
I think it also,
I think-
it distinguishes it, because we do have open space in our zoning ordinance, where open spaces distinguishes it away from what we already have in our zoning ordinance.
Public space?
But isn't it
Public spaces is good.
couched under the same thing? I mean, open space
No.
is
No.
What about public
parks,
space?
recreation,
Open spaces
civic,
are-
everything?
Not in our zoning ordinance. In our zoning ordinance, it's a cluster subdivision.
It's a very specific defined item.
So
Maybe-
should we leave it as civic and recreational space?
What's
Or
wrong-
just
yeah, what's wrong
public,
with that
Public
title?
spaces.
Public and recreation.
Recreation.
Well, I know civic is public.
You want to make that note? Or I guess we can. Okay. Let's see.
Green spaces.
Okay.
It's even worse.
Usable open space in Pinardville was not well planned for, and as a result, there is not much. And I put available there as the tag on the end. Pinardville will make open space a part of its community's design. I put should.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a problem when they say it there too?
Derek's comment on the second to last paragraph was community gardens. Too much focus on community garden, too much emphasis on that. We can delete that whole paragraph, or we can modify it just to say, people should do community gardens.
Well, we have the big one next to the prison. Or across, don't we? Isn't that a community garden across from the prison?
Yeah, but
Yes,
that's
it
not
is.
within Pinardville community, so I think
I don't even know
that
where
our
we put one in
consultants sort of
Pinardville.
focused a lot on putting some community gardens like within the electrical easement areas and that kind of thing, so
Atlantic fruit.
it's one of those places where you can do something like that without necessarily,
Why don't you just
Negative
reduce
impact.
the paragraph?
Yeah, end it
I
after the
agree.
second sentence,
Yep.
right after yards.
Totally agree, I think a sentence would do.
yeah.
I think we get the point.
Whatever. It's,
Okay. Let's see. David Priest, new comment on the top of the next page, civic and recreational space goals. Add new bullet point, explore the feasibility of joint use of recreational facilities between the town and city of Manchester and St. Anselm College.
That's a really great suggestion.
I would just
I
add
like
in
that
the
too.
town of Bedford as well, but yeah,
Yeah.
that
But
is-
the town of Bedford, right.
what about between the town and surrounding communities? So it could be
Yeah.
almost anybody that surrounds us. Where? Anybody?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And the surrounding towns, communities, yep.
Okay. Going down.
The third one, create a civic space in the form of a Pinardville Village Common, maybe near the intersection of College Road and Mass Road, because I think we're getting some pushback on that from people saying, this looks like an eminent domain issue, not.
Right?
And it would almost have to be there, stuff there.
I would just change at to near.
That's a good question.
Okay. The
Yes.
third or fourth bullet point down where it's greened out. My suggestion was provide better direct access and directional signage to Surratt Field to enable increased use of this field. No, that wasn't my suggestion, that was somebody else's. Probably Tony's, I don't know. I
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
remember. Okay.
That's good.
Well, anyway, somebody made that suggestion, and it wasn't
Okay.
me, and there it is. Let's see, next one. You can keep moving through those. Those are just text edits, I think. Oh, I put an addition on the end of provide more transportation options. This may include widening sidewalks or creating bicycle lanes along roadways.
Okay,
Good.
good.
Okay, keep moving through. Andy Cataret made a comment on the next page about, is there data to support the statement of the economic engine of Goffstown? Pinardville is the economic engine of Goffstown. Again, I think he was kind of focused in on the data thing. And I don't know what data we have that
It would
could
be
support
basically
that.
maybe
We
the
could say something like we have
taxes, values.
60% of the businesses in Pinardville versus
And that can, we
40%
can,
in the
we can
rest of
flush that
Goffstown?
out in the appendix.
Can we instead say Pinardville is an important economic
Yeah.
engine of Goffstown?
Just and.
Yeah,
rather than
just,
the-
I think so, that'd be good.
Because then it doesn't have to be quantified and it's not
Yeah.
trying to maintain
Very good
any-
point, Mike.
Making that change? All right.
Moving on.
I had a couple comments here where we first talked about economic growth and development. I had a different comment. I'd like it to say though, economic growth and vitality. Take out the word
I think you
development there.
said development and vitality.
Do you want
Yeah, I
growth and
wanted growth and vitality though was, I think, a better
Right.
approach.
Oh, okay. Growth and vitality, all right.
And where we say that vibrant youthful energy is lacking, I think we want to say is not readily apparent.
Yeah.
As
I
opposed to
liked both
lacking.
of those comments. I thought those were good.
And then where we talk about an emphasis should be placed on filling the vacant buildings with new business,
Available buildings.
should be available buildings with new businesses that cater to and serve this academic population.
Yeah.
Because I think we were talking about that youthful St. A's group.
Right, right.
Okay. Lack of opportunity. Okay, economic development goals. Crossed out lack of opportunity thereof and just put lack of opportunity. Add wayfinding signage, change to add directional signage.
Mm-hmm.
Obtain grant funding, change to develop programs and services. Tony Martz where appropriate.
Well, on the parking requirements,
Parking
you can
requirements.
just copy what you said previously, I think, as a
Yep,
bullet point.
yep.
Oh, okay, yeah. Let's see.
And my last one was on that last sentence, says anything promoting the physical, social. I would just say, I'd take out the word anything.
Lead promoting.
Yes,
Right.
promoting.
Promote.
Right, I think that works too, just fine. You don't have to have the word anything. Derek had
I think it should be
said,
promoting, Derek.
Okay, yep.
Derek had said that we can delete the tax relief incentives for businesses because we already have that under 79E, the community revitalization tax relief incentive.
Well, can we leave it in, but say something
Maintain.
like encourage or
Yeah, let's
encourage the use of?
encourage the use, yeah.
Yep. Okay. Instead of encourage appropriately designed signage, on the next bullet point down, I put provide regulations in the smart code for appropriately designed signage.
Good.
Because I think they are going to speak to signage in that code.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next page.
This was my comment, changing neighboring buildings.
Yep.
In terms of the relationship issue under smart code, to relationship to surrounding buildings and neighborhoods.
I think that's fine. I also proposed a new paragraph below that. Just says, as the design of the built environment is throughout, wait, hang on. As the design of the built environment is thought about in more detail, it will begin to frame the definition of public space, semi-private, and private space. As this occurs in Pinardville, the Mass Road corridor, as well as the neighborhoods, will begin to look and feel, even be safer, and crime will decrease as people begin to and continue keeping their properties well maintained.
Do we want to mention crime? It's the first time it comes up, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the first time I
Yeah, that's a
remember it.
little dangerous.
And I don't think you see it in most master
And,
plans.
yeah, that's true, and there's really no justification for it. I mean, there's no
You may change it to
statistics or
You
arrests.
may change it to sense of community or something else that's less.
Safe, kid-friendly neighborhoods.
Child friendly.
Should we just,
Child friendly.
Your goats.
How many times?
Just because you have kids, you do mention something about eyes on the street in another section,
Yeah, it does.
so.
And that again was brought up at one of the meetings, the crime issue, so he's just addressing some stuff that was actually stated by community members that came to some of the meetings. That's why I think that language is in there. 'Cause
Right.
It was brought up. So I think that's why he probably used that. Not that we have to, but I'm just saying that's probably his reasoning.
yeah, I'm open
Bold
for any
statement.
suggestions.
It
on what to
is.
say. I mean, I think it does sort of, neighborhood design does help decrease crime if
It
it's done
does.
right.
It does.
So if you can word it correctly to say that and not feel like you're overwhelming the community that there's going to be crime or something.
Well,
you know.
in the 70s, they would call it defensible space. When you're
Oh, God, people
Those
really
were
don't know what
bad
that means. Yeah.
That was in the 70s, but
Those are good times.
You're sitting next to Heichel, Mr.
Seventies
Defense.
was good.
it
Yeah.
wasn't in the
There
good
weren't
time,
subways,
right?
but that is really like it's a really weird.
There's actually an acronym out there that I learned about back in when I was in my early planning, which I'm not that old in planning, but called CPTED, CPTED,
Oh.
Crime Prevention Through Environmental Design, and
Huh.
it's an actual thing. People do a lot of studies on that, and how to decrease crime based on how your community is designed. So.
I think keeping the safe, child-friendly neighborhood approach is
Much
good
better.
here. But when you talk about crime decreasing and people not maintaining their properties, I think it
Yeah.
adds a negative connotation.
Okay, so maybe just delete or put the period after and even be safer period and just be done with that.
Safer, more child-friendly, and
Or family
livable
friendly.
neighborhoods.
Or walkable too, just
Yep.
implies people out and about.
Okay, you got that, Derek?
Okay.
Take all our happy words and stick those.
Well, and
Okay.
shouldn't we also insert the word "to"?
Where?
Where is it? As the design of as this occurs in Pinardville, the Mass Road corridor, as well as the neighborhoods, will begin to look and
Oh,
feel.
yeah. To look and feel and even be safer.
Comma, more
and
child-friendly.
more
And livable, walkable neighborhoods.
Even be
Um,
safer.
And become
become livable, walkable neighborhood. That's better, yeah.
Become
More livable.
Become more.
Well, we're already living.
That's fine.
Be-
That's fine.
to be.
Look and feel safer.
Yeah, I would agree, Louise.
Yeah,
Instead of
take out
an
the
even
even
be.
be.
To look and feel safer.
Yes.
Safe.
Feels
Great.
It's not bad now, is it?
to look and feel safe.
More child-friendly, and more livable and walkable.
Okay, great.
Take out that last become.
Okay.
Too many hands.
I know, we got
There's
a lot
too
of
many
these.
hands
We're
right
trying to say too much in too little space.
Derek and I can fix that.
Yeah, we can
Yeah.
wordsmith that.
You can
Yeah.
tweak it.
Okay, next page.
Neighborhood design goals.
Okay, anything not covered in the SMART code standards of development, including but not limited to. Let's see, I put that in.
Where are you looking there?
I don't know.
There's a little insert after, on the second bullet point, after guidelines the design guidelines should address, and then I say, anything not covered in the SMART code, standards of development, including but not limited to, and then you can go into lighting, signage, building facades, construction materials, all that.
If we're gonna refer to design guidelines, that should also be in the appendix where you define SMART code. Because it's,
You want to define SMART, design guidelines, is that what you're saying?
Just have,
yeah, it's really an aspect of SMART code zoning. And it looks like you're kind of overlaying a whole bunch of regulations here. And it's just nice to, if we're gonna define SMART code, define what design guidelines under SMART code are intended to do.
Okay, there was a comment about discourage cul-de-sac development, I think.
I think I wanna say discourage additional cul-de-sac development.
Additional, yeah, additional cul-de-sac development.
Or just say encourage connectivity.
And encourage connectivity.
yeah, and encourage connectivity.
I know we did have that one below, encourage to connect some streets. I mean, we could probably just get rid of this bullet point if you want.
Yep, that's
Yep.
good.
Okay,
Get rid of this whole bullet
The
point.
second one altogether.
okay.
Okay.
But when we're talking on that last one, where you're talking about connection of streets, I wanted to add at the end,
Yeah.
being mindful of the need to avoid additional traffic or through traffic on narrow neighborhood streets.
Yeah, residential.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
I like that. Also, on the next to the last one, David Priest made a comment, encourage the redevelopment of existing strip-style malls so the building's front Mast Road, provide a workshop sponsored by Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission and others to give design options to commercial property owners. You guys...
My only concern with that comment is when you come out and say fronting
Yeah.
the buildings, it begins to scare people who are looking at
So
properties.
that'll probably be in the design guidelines, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think encouraging redevelopment of existing
Shopping centers and,
I think we go back to Mike's highway style as opposed to strip style. And I would always encourage a workshop sponsored by Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission.
And I think SNHPC should be spelled out.
I think we,
Some know what it
uh,
is.
Some
Yeah.
people
earlier
won't
in the
know.
document, we will make sure it's
Some
in
people
there.
won't know what it stands for.
So you didn't want front Mast Road, you just wanted something that's encourage redevelopment of existing highway-style malls, so
You have language that,
Yeah,
where we
existing.
already changed highway style, why don't you crib off of that?
Existing highway commercial
Yep.
style.
Okay. Tony Martz had a comment. That may be. Oh, that's in that same paragraph. But if we reword
Yeah,
that
you're gonna
whole thing.
reword that.
Yeah. Okay. Being mindful of the need to avoid additional traffic. Okay, that was yours, Tony. Rob Brown had a comment. To increase connection of streets will cause side streets without sidewalks to have more traffic.
I think that's already been
Yeah.
discussed.
yeah.
Priest. Oh wait, I just discussed that one.
That's supposed to be as a guide for future development?
Guild. Yeah, guide.
Guide, yeah.
We don't want to have a guild for future development.
No, that's a good point.
Okay. Yeah.
Just real quick. I apologize, I believe I didn't know it was gonna run this late, but I just wanted to make a comment before I left that I really like the changes that are being made. I mean, I read through it all, and as someone who has zero experience in planning and stuff like that, and just as a community member within Pinardville, I feel that when I first read through it, it felt very cookie cutter and not like really didn't really take into Pinardville, and there were some negative things in there that felt like we're not a great neighborhood yet, but this is how we're going to be one. So I like the changes that are being made so far. It really feels like you know, we are a great neighborhood, and it's a little more tailored to Pinardville.
Right,
So I've been sitting here listening, and I'm not contributing much, but I really like the ideas that you guys are putting forth there. So
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you very much.
I'm sorry I can't stay. I really didn't expect.
Are we going to close about 8:30 maybe tonight and then adjourn?
If that's the case,
Well,
I can stay. I
Then I'll be going too.
I honestly would like to get through the rest of it. If you have to leave, you know,
Okay.
feel free to take off or whatever, but you know, we do need to get through the rest of this, because I do need to submit comments to
I think I made comments up to the
by
plan
tomorrow.
framework.
Now that Jesse's leaving,
Yeah.
we're gonna talk about the chicken egg farm.
Requiring everybody to have at least one hen and
We have
one-
kids there too?
Okay. So, on transportation goals,
If we leave, can we come back in?
Yeah, sure.
The door's open.
I will go check it. I'll go check it. Should be.
Anybody want water or coffee or something?
We've got water down at the end of the hallway.
Can we maybe just take a quick break at
Yeah, we can
8:30?
take a 5-minute break, and I can
That'll
go put
work.
some coffee on upstairs.
That would be
Some water would be great.
Water, coffee would be great.
that'd be great.
Like I said, there's a water dispenser at the end of the hall, and there should be cups down there.
Okay.
Last thing I need is water.
Brian,
Last thing I need
you've
is
made some
water.
great changes here.
Or
Seriously, this
anything
is
liquid to drink.
stellar.
I do need to
Yeah, I like
stand,
really this.
however.
We'll end up, any of the comments that didn't have a substantial, you know, change this, we're just gonna take it off. You know, I put it here for us to discuss tonight,
Right,
so that,
right.
you know, we can kind of have some discussion. But if there's not a specific, you know, change this, we're just gonna take it out so the consultant's not confused about, okay, what do I do with this comment, you know what I mean? So, anyway. Joanne, you didn't know what you were getting into when you signed up for this, didn't you?
I did not. It's okay.
Sorry.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Gets me out of babysitting.
We're about,
I was just gonna say, she may be better off here than
The
taking
committee
care of a
kicked around the
4-year-old.
document. Several hours later, they adjourned.
yeah. We're about halfway through, I'd say. Oh, we can maybe try to move a little faster. We don't have to, like, I've been trying to skip over just the
Does
piddly
that
ones.
mean 11 o'clock or no?
Well, I'm hoping not.
I think the second half of this goes faster.
We're breaking for about 5 minutes, Dara.
Double fisting it, huh?
It is.
Wow.
Give this to Julie.
Oh, and the meeting was on television, not the break.
You didn't know you
Okay,
were on TV?
We're back on air.
You look great, though. I checked the monitor.
You did.
We are back.
Didn't offend Manchester at all. So.
All right.
Okay, so
Mayor's not watching.
we are
Yeah,
on the
watch that.
transportation goals page. David Priest made a comment about, what about study the prospect of improving connectivity? And I think you'd made that comment prior, so I think we'll make that change.
Okay.
Also, on the next paragraph down, work with Manchester Transportation Authority. That's just the MTA for the transit comments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the end
On
of
that,
that page.
improve connectivity or consider improving connectivity, I add at the end, being mindful of the need to avoid additional traffic or through traffic on narrow neighborhood streets.
Yeah, that's good, Tony.
Yes.
Okay. We've changed the library department to Goffstown Public Library on the next page. That's the only comment there. Community facilities goals. Someone had the comment to delete developable. Oh, Tony commented delete developable.
Yes.
On developable parcels.
Yes.
The third one down.
And I'd also say at the end, where encourage economic development and discourage reliance on well and septic systems.
Right, right.
Also, there was another comment, coordinate with the school districts renovation and facility plans for academic, recreational, and community space. That could be just a separate bullet point, I think.
Right, and put that as number 2, right?
Yeah, that's the
Okay.
second one down,
Yeah.
so. Let's see, expand the fire station, Tony wrote, and provide possible public meeting space near the end of that paragraph. I think that's okay. Provide community centers for children. That whole paragraph Dave Priest commented on. Study the feasibility of having a joint school, senior center, library, and community center. This could save the town a lot of money if it is designed and there is shared resources.
Are any communities moving in that direction, David?
Unfortunately not. Everybody has their little serfdoms, and I think it's just very costly for communities to continue that. Out in the West, I came from Los Angeles, and this was something that was really being explored, where you would create kind of a Y-shaped building with the school being on one side, the library, and the senior center. And when the school started to detract because of the school enrollment, there would be more spaces for the senior center, which we all know
It's growing.
is growing, and they need space and they need opportunities. And then there's a library that could be shared by both resources in one building, and the parking would be shared by all three. And the recreations for the school could be shared by the community. So it's something that I think we really need to explore and maybe put that as a goal to kind of explore and talk about it.
It's a good idea.
Okay, on to the next page. Cultural and historic resources. Tony had a comment to change is not significant historically to is not outwardly historic. I think that was a good comment. Then down below, he also commented saying Pinardville has one visibly notable historic building, the Pinardville Ice House. That further down in that paragraph, as being a historic building, I wrote because of its use, but is not in good shape and is in danger of being destroyed by neglect. And then the last one in that second paragraph, Tony added Namaski Lake. I think that was you, Tony, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Is there a historic survey of Pinardville?
There's not.
It's not. It's not Namaski Lake that I'm adding. It's actually Mystic Brook.
Mystic Brook.
Oh,
Mystic Brook is the brook that
The road-
starts on one side of Mass Road, goes into the Ice House, and then crosses into the Shaw's parking lot and goes
Okay.
to Abington Park.
okay. Maybe I misread that when I was typing it in.
And then I've also would
Did it?
propose
Okay,
a new bullet point under cultural resources.
yeah, on the next page.
Consideration should be given to highlighting and promoting Pinardville's historic and cultural association with the Franco-American community,
Right.
perhaps through direct affiliation and programs with the Franco-American Center at St. Anselm College.
That's good.
Excellent.
Yeah,
I
it's
had
good.
I had written a very similar bullet point on my comments, and it was right up above that. It said, "Work with existing Franco-American population in Pinardville to create activities centered around that culture." I think either one of those could be a bullet point, maybe both or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
there's one up above it also that was added. That I added. Work with St. Anselm College to possibly designate some of its buildings to the National Register of Historic Places, if any are eligible.
That's good.
The Ice House is privately owned.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Next page, plan framework, capitalize that. Next page.
But back on the culture, maybe we can get the St. Elmson to do a survey of the older buildings in Pinardville to see if they have any historic significance.
That's a good suggestion. They've recently, they're in the process of changing their core curriculum, and I know that there are some elements of the liberal arts there that would like opportunities to participate.
And that would be the history and
Yeah.
political science. And then we would know if there is anything else that we need to look into preserving.
So can we say undertake with the assistance of St. Anselm College and others a historical inventory?
As another bullet?
Yes.
Or,
Yeah, another bullet.
Modify the bullet you had suggested.
okay.
We also have a historic, well, not historic, but we have a Korean monument in town that was moved from the Cody Diner area to some property that is owned by Jacques
Flowers?
Florist. And we probably ought to give some mention of that.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
I don't remember the name of the soldier, unfortunately. Just remember it was Korean, I believe it was the Korean War. It's easy enough to check by going and looking at the monument.
Okay.
Does that move to the park?
You know, it's on the property, the back end property of Jacques Florist by where Roy Street comes in.
Yep.
That's where it is now.
I thought that got moved to Abingdon.
I thought it got moved to a park, right next to
I
the.
thought it's right next to Abingdon where the
Yeah.
flagpole is.
If it got moved to Abington, I'm not aware of it. I thought it was still
Yeah,
over by
dedication
Jacques.
I think that's the one, yes.
Yep.
It's there.
Yeah, we can.
Okay. The next page.
Bring up an issue on two of the bullet
Yeah.
points there.
Yep.
Provide better access to Piscataquag River and Namesake Lake. That necessarily belongs under cultural and historic, shouldn't it?
Maskey
Maybe on the
Lake
one
is
before.
the cultural resource.
Huh?
Is
Under
the Maskey
community
Lake a cultural
facility.
resource? It's a
More recreational.
Yeah, maybe that should be up in the open space
And then preserve
category.
residential neighborhoods adjacent to Mass Road. We already have neighborhood design. Shouldn't that really be under those? It's not something I would associate with cultural and historic, that's all.
okay.
Others agree, I don't know.
What was the second comment you had on that second bullet point there?
There's a neighborhood design area. That's what it's talking about, is residential neighborhoods.
I think that's part of the culture of the Pinardville, though, is those small homes and the
Yeah.
development after World War II. I think, and I know when the development of the NeighborWorks housing went in, the marker that went there did talk about the culture of those, the style neighborhoods that were built after World War II, so.
Maybe that's what the bullet point should
Point
about,
Okay.
as opposed to just a
Yeah.
Okay.
statement. I agree with that statement. Just let's make it that then.
Okay.
Wasn't there something in the plan, I can't remember, I didn't mark it, that talked about the electrical wires at PSNH and?
Yes.
Yeah,
Once
that's
you get
further
into
down.
the districts,
That's
once you get into the actual
Where we're
districts.
headed.
Yep.
You remember correctly.
Okay,
If they
there's,
can-
there's a couple of wordsmithing comments on this page. I'm not gonna
Go
speak
in,
to them.
let's
I
go.
think they're okay. If you jump down to, let's see, page 41, 42,
42 in our book.
it's the Ice House District.
Okay.
Mike, I've got a concern with calling this Creativity Village. I think that sounds so artsy, yeah, Mickey Mouse, Walt Disney.
Yeah, I didn't understand what it even
I'd
meant.
like to change the name of that if we can to College District and Student Housing, or
Yeah.
Campus Area and Student Housing.
What if it didn't necessarily focus on the college aspect, but some sort of growth area? I agree with you that creativity is a little hokey, but if college gets too gets
Well, I think-
focused where it's going to be more incubator type.
Yeah, it was intended to be an incubator thing for new businesses, so that's where they kind of came up with the creativity thing.
It just sounds weird.
Yeah,
Can we
I
call it
agree.
Academic and Incubator
Academic.
District or something like that? I
And
mean,
who's going to
suggest
understand
something.
incubator
Yeah, I'm trying to
either?
think
That's
of it.
another thing that's a strange
Yeah.
way to put it. Most people aren't going to read incubator and know what.
Well, in Manchester,
Excuse me?
CBI
Yeah.
hub,
Think of chickens.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Or
I knew
NICU.
it.
Or,
Get back
or
to that.
baby.
Yeah. Well, it is within the realm of the
innovation.
college area, so.
yeah,
Innovation.
and Manchester has their ABI hub, the MSK Business Incubators in Milliard, so.
Innovation's a better word.
Yeah.
I agree.
Innovation.
Innovation District?
Or St. Elmsome Village.
That's good. Innovation District and
Student
I
housing.
think we don't want to
College
use the
housing?
term village.
No.
Innovation.
just Innovation
Innovation
District
District.
and leave it alone.
Yeah.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
Instead of innovation and
Yeah, we don't have
housing.
student housing. I mean, that's their issue, is their property,
Right.
student housing. I would just say innovation district, period.
Innovation, okay.
That's good.
Thanks.
Thank you. Oh, it's good.
Okay.
Good catch.
So,
Jumped out at me either.
Ice House District, besides the old school that is hidden within, that's what Tony said, instead of behind modern additions, there is only one. He changed it to the most visible and significant historic structure in Pinardville is the Ice House. I think those are all good comments, and we should just
Yeah.
keep those. I like them.
Hopefully, please send this all down before we get this done.
Did you say, just to backtrack one page, did you say that commercial district would have its own section that I was commenting on before? Off of 114 Plummer, that's going to be in its own?
Yeah, we had
Okay.
put a comment in on a separate page
Okay.
to do that.
Because I had it written there, I just want to make sure, okay.
Yeah.
I think the
Okay.
Historical Society might have a relationship with the Ice House in terms of maintenance issues.
It's
Worth
kind of
looking
just
into.
left there.
Cheryl made a comment on this page. Let's see, considering Dan L's presentation on the history of Pinardville was held in Goffstown proper, caused me to think we need a place in Pinardville where our history could be told. The Ice House seems a perfect piece of property on which to do so. We could utilize the current building as a museum and or other public area where activities and meetings of the Pinardville residents could be held, where we could learn of our community's rich history. A park could easily be created on the green space already in existence to include benches, picnic tables, a garden, fountain, etc. This would highlight the Ice House much more appropriately than apartment buildings and a parking lot. We could possibly get some of the necessary work donated by local merchants and tradesmen in exchange for nicely designed signs that indicate donated by, and then whoever it is, thus providing advertisement for the local businesses as well as keeping the cost to the taxpayers as low as possible for construction of the park and renovation of the currently existing building.
By currently existing building, are you referring to what?
The Remax
what
building.
recently was the real estate? Or-
Whatever, it's been a bank and a million different things, yeah.
Yeah, it was the
whatever.
Panda Museum.
Yeah.
So that's the building you're referring to?
Yeah, I think it really is.
Which is up for sale.
Is this a comment that we can deal with in this document, or is this something that we just should be thinking about as we move forward into doing something about this whole project? I don't know.
I think,
That
I
was
just
where
thought it was because what they indicate here is just buildings in a parking lot, so they're indicating something on that spot. So I just thought a much better option was to preserve,
You're showing a potential conceptual, maybe could happen.
which is what
but,
this is
yeah.
as well, but I think this idea bears some kind of either or in the plan. For people to, if you want people to, I think they'd buy into that more than they would just buildings there. That's just what I've been asking people.
Can you add some of her comment to item 1, celebrate the ice house? The park could
Yeah, I
easily
mean-
be created, how about
Yeah.
adding that line?
Picnic tables, bench, garden, fountain, etc.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that could be added into the description here on the first
In the
page.
first blurb.
Okay. You're saying on to number 1 or on to this first page describing the Ice House District?
No, under celebrate ice
Under
house.
number 1, celebrate ice house.
Okay. You got that okay?
Yep.
All right.
See what's going on
What's the population of Pinardville?
Anything else on that comment, or?
No?
Population change 7%.
2000 to 2012.
So, moving on.
Young people.
Map
moving in.
page. There are several comments on the map page. Hang on, I passed it up.
Median houses down 2.72.
Yeah.
Just renaming streets, making sure, okay, there were multiple comments about removing the proposed street, connecting Hague, Joffrey, Patain, based on the residents' concerns about those connections, making it making more traffic on the streets, all of that.
So are we all in favor of removing that proposed street?
Yes.
Yes.
More businesses to kind of
Okay.
even out.
So we're gonna remove that street. Thanks.
Okay.
We're gonna change all proposed streets to possible streets.
Younger
We're
people
changing all
to move
proposed
in,
to possible,
start up their
and
businesses.
then label the,
And we're gonna add David's for illustration purposes only.
Yes, on each.
On
Yes.
each drawing.
Right.
right.
I had given language for that. I don't know if it showed up for you, Brian, if you want.
Which language? I'm sorry. For the,
For the disclaimer below.
oh, did you? Okay. I must
Put it
have
in
skipped
text boxes. I don't know if it showed up without,
it. Okay.
instead of using bubbles.
What's your language? Do you have it?
And it can be massaged, but include below each diagram explanation that these changes of development only happens with a cooperative effort of the landowners, neighborhoods, planning board, and town officials. That these essentially are shown for ideas and these changes.
That's part of it, but you want to also include the caveat that, unless someone wants to do something with their property and is agreeable to doing something with their property.
That's what I meant by the cooperative.
Yeah, I think it has to start for illustration purposes only,
Right.
followed by your blurb.
Yeah, that's what I,
Yeah.
That would do it.
Okay.
they're not proposed changes, example of possibilities based on current land use.
That's,
Okay.
and also one
You
street's
want-
proposed is already there.
You could take it if you want.
Let's see.
The one next to Hanford, that's Mystic Brook, isn't it, where he puts proposed new street, that's already in existence.
Okay, this is it right here. Got it. Colleen pointed out, it should be pointed out that the light buildings are existing and the darker shade are potential infill development, question mark, which I think is a good point. These maps really don't have legend
Yeah,
to
there's no
them.
legend.
No, I
It
had
was hard to
difficulty,
understand.
I had difficulty trying to figure out
Yeah.
what buildings were
Work.
currently existing and what ones were ones that they were suggesting might be put in there.
Later on in the document, I put in a comment to add a legend to
Could I-
these,
could I
so that these
counter
types
that
of
a little
things are
bit?
easily
Let me just throw this out.
discerned.
Once you put a legend in, now you're making it more definitive.
Yeah, that's
If
true.
it's a little looser and you don't know what's going on necessarily, it's potential that you see it as possible versus when you put a legend in, it's like, oh, that building is this, and this building is that. that's the sense I got from it. I don't know. How would you feel about that?
I think it's just, I had to walk down Mass Road at one point and kind of look for sure, like
But-
Dunkin's is completely missing in the gas station right
Right,
here.
but that's
So-
sort of the point of the drawing is you don't want to be that definitive.
Right.
You want it kind of loose and open so that you can start to say, oh, Dunkin' Donuts there? Well, what would happen if Dunkin' Donuts, it wasn't there?
Well,
Or,
and
you
I'm
know,
not
this-
saying that, we come up with a very stringent
No.
legend, but a color legend that says, okay, this is a new drawing building on this site, and this building is, either an existing one or possible, just like the
Well, use that
streets
language,
thing.
That's fine and keep
Yeah,
it loose, but
just so
I
y'all
would
can
do
tell, like,
very-
light is existing.
I actually,
dark
I
is
agree with
proposed.
Rob. I mean, I originally had a sense that more definition would be good, but the reality is what the pushback we get is, well, look what they've done to Shaw's. Well, when you write Shaw's on here, it looks like, yeah, we're going in that direction. But the reality is when that site gets redeveloped, it's apt to be completely leveled and restarted. So
And I think,
part of the danger here is they've kept some of the buildings as opposed to just doing an infill,
Right.
a brand new development. They've just kept the old one.
Because I think then you run into, people are gonna say, well, they showed 7 buildings here and you're only proposing 5.
Well, I don't think people are going to say, I was just thinking more just saying light-colored businesses are ones that currently exist. People can look at this and figure out where they are. Because people did ask me when I showed them the map, well, where am I? What is this? So I think, especially business people.
Well, names of roads, I think, is important, which they
Yeah.
have put on there. So, I mean, that does get to that a little bit.
does now the fact that you have a blurb up there that say this is for illustration purposes only of potential redevelopment, does that take care of that issue, and then you don't need a key or anything, and this is just a
Except I wouldn't say potential, I would say possible.
possible? Okay.
Because potential gives the connotation that it's going to happen.
It's in the plans. It's in
Possible.
the, possible.
Okay.
Good point.
And Derek, there is a road here that says proposed, and it's actually Mystic Brook. As far as I can figure out looking at it, it's the one next to Hannaford that they just built that goes back to those apartments. That's Mystic Brook. Is that not what they mean? Is that the same road?
It's configured a little bit differently, and right
Yeah.
now it's a driveway that's really
One way,
one way in,
yeah.
so I think keeping it as a possible new road would probably be all right.
Some of those you could even just take that off. Just take off proposed new street, just leave those labelings out.
Except it does connect the Hannaford and the Shaw's properties potentially.
Back
the
there,
labels.
yeah.
So I meant just-
And I think when
Well-
people are trying to locate where their properties are, where their landmarks are, if they see a paper street, they don't, they say, wait a minute, what road is that?
Yeah, I think
So
they need
think
to
it's-
know
Yeah.
what road it is. You have to be straightforward.
It's good to know what's different than what's existing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had
Tony?
also suggested at one point adding the traffic lights, but I think that's a bad idea.
It's a very bad idea. Yeah.
So
Okay. So we can remove
Too much
that.
would be on the map.
take care of it. People will count the traffic lights.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Now we've got 7. Well, we used to have 4.
All right.
Oh, when I moved in, there were 2.
I know. I remember they've been adding them and adding them, yeah.
Cheryl had another comment.
Well, we already talked about that anyway, I think.
You want to move
I think
past
we
yours?
talked about it, yeah, the buildings in Hannaford and that parking lot, yeah. Because you had mentioned that before.
Okay. Let's see, we'll skip that then, that'll save us some time. That was a long one.
I know.
Uh,
And then Tony was nice enough to address the dead-end street, so that was resolved as part of that comment, so
Yeah, I think,
I had my petition with me and everything.
honestly, that was supposed to have been fixed before we got the first draft, and it didn't quite make it there, but that's okay.
The one question I will ask you, though, all these trees they've added, the road already is fairly narrow. I mean, you don't exactly have a lot of room. Does that mean they will take the 10 feet of property
No.
in the front, or because driveways are all here, is that?
It's again, for illustration purposes.
Yeah, I
only.
know, but I'm just
That-
saying, it's,
That's
one question
their-
someone
That's
asked
their
me.
way of making a pretty picture that, of something that, if it can happen, then the town should try to do something like
Some
that.
streetscape
But,
improvements.
yeah.
The town's
It's-
right of ways technically.
yeah, that's
bigger
what
than
someone
you
had
would
asked me,
think,
yeah, that they did all the.
And
yeah,
that would
okay.
also be something that would be in the design standards or whatever else. that,
Exactly.
You can put it closer to the street if you put
Yeah.
X number of trees up.
Although here the Salton would kill them anyway in no time, but.
But there are trees that are more salt resistant, so.
Number 2 on Ice House District, it says to infill development and suburban retrofit. That doesn't quite make sense. What I put was for suburban retrofit through infill development. Does that make better sense to you guys? This provides an opportunity for suburban retrofit through infill development.
Yeah, I had written a question there too. Question mark was kind of like,
It was a little strangely written.
yeah.
Okay.
Do you think it would be good at somewhere in the document to have a glossary of terms?
So I was, what is, someone will say, what is infill development?
Yeah.
You infill with dirt your driveway, I
Can
mean.
you add that to your
Well, that's, I've heard it
appendix
used.
of-
Yeah, I know we've already highlighted smart codes, design guidelines of appendix, so yeah, so a glossary.
Anything that might just have a question
Glossary
mark.
of planners' terms.
Yeah.
Okay.
You better hurry, because they'll make up a new one.
We're making it up as we are.
As we speak.
The stream is
This is my
Mystic Brook.
2 pet peeves in Pinardville. It's Mystic Brook, it should always be referred to as that, never as a stream. And it's the Nazir Byron Memorial Bridge.
And
It is?
by the way, you
I always
spelled
call it the
Nazir
Byron Bridge.
wrong. It's
Did it?
Nazir.
Okay.
Ooh.
Zaire.
Well, there you go.
I always called it the Byron Bridge, so I guess I've
Byron
been wrong
Bridge,
all these
okay.
years.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Okay.
On to page 45.
Which is your case.
I wrote a comment. Oh, just
That's my
fix the same street name comments and all that on that page. Down below,
I'll propose to possibly.
Cheryl had a comment. The redesigning of Mass Road seems impossible. It's not a wide enough street to begin with. I cannot imagine the car lanes being any narrower without people banging each other's side mirrors as they pass each other.
Well, that's
Further,
what I just brought
to
up.
plant trees along, you already spoke to that. Is this gonna need eminent domain? And during the winter, the required salting and snow removal would essentially kill the trees, thus making our financial investment in that endeavor a waste of money. Furthermore, they would interfere with the power lines and could cause power outages during snow or extreme wind. This is an issue PSNH is dealing with now, trees being trimmed or removal all over town. Additionally, as Tony March said, we should change the wording from proposed to possible. Okay, we've discussed that.
Yeah, that's all. We've already talked about all that.
Eminent domain, okay, yeah. So, anything we want to keep as a comment with that, or just kind of concerns to be thinking about?
I'll
It's-
throw out some comments that piggyback off that, because it also relates to the next one, and I don't know if you picked them up when I wrote in there, but I think we need a little more understanding of what's proposed for Mass Road. I brought this up with Brian before too. I don't see any streetscape, I don't see a profile through Mass Road, and I think that was sort of somewhat of the focus of this is Mass Road itself, improving that strip. And the trees are partly, but they're showing up in so many feet above Pinardville. But how about if we get down on Pinardville and see
Yeah,
what Pinardville
street
looks like?
view, yeah.
And I
The
anticipate you'll see
walkability,
that in the smart code, once you see the smart code as
I
the,
mean, the pictures, the sidewalk, the bike path, the trees, the vegetation. I had asked Brian when he was here, how do you feel about the center turning lane? And generally they recommend taking them out because they don't really work well, because people end up, butting together. But you have turning lanes at intersections and things like that. But
You need them there.
you need them there, but that's how you start to pull in on this, on the sides, and start to be able to do more with the street. And you have this Mass Road connector section, that's the next section, and that's why I'm kind of segueing to that, based on what Cheryl said as well. But it should connect all the way to Shaw's. It's it's kind of halfway, and then the Cody's Corner. And I thought this was the point of the bulk of this, was to try to improve Mass Road, and I think it's somewhat being ignored through this whole thing.
If they've done design guideline pictures, why don't we see if you can get one and
Integrate
toss
them,
that in?
yeah, and toss.
In terms of the
yeah.
streetscape design guideline.
The one that, they have one picture, oh, it's not in this version, but they have that of shops and cafes and things like that. I don't know if that's even possible. So, I mean, that's gonna take some effort to get to that point and get the storefronts up to the street. But along those lines where you're, like, if you're riding a bike along there, what would you see? You know, if you walk the sidewalks, what would you see?
Mhm.
And then how these businesses start to impact the street and improve the streetscape as you drive through it.
Mhm.
Good point.
Yeah, they're all very good points.
And maybe it's not necessarily improving a district, because I know he's already got these drawings mostly done, but it's the pictures. It's the way it,
So
But he's
you're
gonna have
just
those,
looking for
he's gonna have those pictures.
additional photographs.
Yeah.
I
He's
think
gonna
that
have
was
the
a comment.
illustrations as part of the design guidelines.
But we can also,
So-
why couldn't we also integrate them?
That's what I'm saying, grab some of those pictures and
Put them into things that we're talking about. This could be what it looks like, you know?
more pictures, even diverse pictures, also implies this is possible, not proposed. You know,
Well,
so
right,
it's not exactly what we're doing. And you say, oh, I like that. Is there a place we could do this in the in the
Right,
town somewhere?
right.
Even though it's not exactly shown.
Well, going
So-
back to your comment just now about proposed, I was just rereading item number 6, the second paragraph. It says the plan proposes additional development, and I would say that maybe it should say the plan suggests additional rather than proposes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I did make that change in there. Which page was that on?
47?
Yeah,
Right there,
The
yeah.
fact is, that's already been done.
Yeah.
My third Pinardville pet peeve is that small park is Abington Square. Can we refer to it as Abington Square?
Yep, we did put that comment in
Thank you.
as well. What do you guys think about having the book-style pictures where you have, on this page, it's half of the picture, and then there's another half of the picture on another page? I had a comment that was a little bit difficult to read, because a lot of people, when they read a PDF, they read it page by page. They don't put two pages together on a PDF.
Right, right.
So you're going to see
No, I
half of
agree.
the
It's not really
picture.
discernible
But we're
anyway
gonna
as
have
to what
hard
it is.
copies at some point, aren't we?
Well, but how many people are going to actually get a hard copy,
Versus electronic
versus
one.
read it
As
electronically?
many
from our
people as
computers?
have ever read the master
This
plan. and-
digital age.
Can we
Exactly.
get it in the actual, looks like a book when it's done? Where you can it looks like you're flipping a page?
Yeah.
I don't know what that's called or whatever.
No, I know that's what Londonderry did when they did their master plan with this. They posted it, not necessarily, you could download it as a PDF, but yeah, when you called it up on the screen, it was two, and you
Two
used a little
pages.
hand and it flipped, yeah.
Page over.
Yeah, we could definitely
Okay.
look at the possibility of that.
At least your full pages read that way.
Yeah.
I like the big picture. It gives a kind of a better overview.
It does do that. That was my concern about, having half of it on one page and half of it on the other page, and only looking at one page at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We set up. Tony did add some real pictures that show examples. So
Brian found any, do you know?
I haven't talked to him about any of that, so.
That would cost money if you call it.
Yeah.
As we go into Mass Road corridor itself, is there room for a bike lane and get the bicycles off the sidewalks, for instance, as this plan would move forward?
It would require some.
Striping.
No, it would require more than that. It would require probably getting rid of the middle lane in order to do that, which that's a pretty necessary lane, I would say. I don't know.
Bikes on the sidewalk is
Awful.
Yeah,
awful.
it's not good.
dangerous.
There's just, it's not wide enough to do it, even on one side. There are spots where it's wide enough, where like you have the on-street parking and stuff, but
Brian, I think it's an
It's
engineering
limited.
issue, and we shouldn't be presupposing that it can't be done.
Yeah.
well, and I'm not saying we should. I mean, I put the comment in that we should be considering where possible to do bike lanes and that kind of thing. So
Need a bike-friendly community.
Yeah, I mean, they said that ninth traffic light couldn't be done, but
Okay, no comments on Mass Road Connector page.
I had one on that, just, he talks about the new Pinardville Town Common again. And I think earlier we had addressed just making that seem, sound like it's not a eminent domain issue, that it's already done.
Oh, I see. So just maybe not call it the new Pinardville Town Common, but
Yeah, because it isn't exactly like it's going to happen.
the,
Right.
Possible
whatever,
Yeah, possible,
possible is
potential,
becoming our new favorite word,
or
right?
suggested,
It's our new
or
squishy word.
suggested.
No, and I think, Mike, you had also pointed out not defining that it's at that intersection, potentially saying that it's near that.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. On the map page, so I had them labeling Higgins Street, possible connection to Higgins Street into the proposed new street by the school, labeling College Road, labeling possible alleys that are there that they've designed on the backside of Mast Road on the between Roy Street and College. Let's see, Roosevelt Street is on there. Oh, Louis Street is not Louis Street there, it's Laurier Street. It changes to Louis further up. Let's see, any comments on that page? I think that's it.
Brian, you may want to tell the consultant, or let him know, that the Northern New England chapter of APA's website has a whole section of photographs of good planning, smart growth, urban
yeah.
design,
Okay.
that they could use as examples.
Yep.
So it's similar to our environment and
Yep.
So they're of New
Of
England.
Northern New
Northern
England.
New England chapter of
New
APA.
Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, Northern Mass.
And any Kappa.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very good collection, so.
Let's see, Artisan, David Priest, this yellow highlighted stuff. David Priest had a few comments.
Yeah.
By the way, that's artisan, not artesian.
Explore with PSNH on burying the existing power lines. That's just, a comment that in regards to the.
I mean, especially
Greenway
along
thing.
Mass Road, we are trying to make these improvements. Isn't it time that we start having these discussions, saying, we're investing a lot of our money and we still have these horrific power lines that are dissecting our communities, so.
I think it's a comment definitely worth adding.
Yeah.
Because if they're burying 7 miles of northern pass, they can surely bury a couple blocks in Pinardville. Isn't it about time?
2-3 years, and I'll be able to get down that road. I can see it now. We're doing it with a sewer pipe. Come
I
on.
don't see, not in my life, not in our lifetime, but maybe in the future they'll
At
start
least
be
5
thinking.
years before Carl will let you put a hole in that street.
Yeah,
again,
at least
right?
5 years. At least 5 years.
Well, I don't have a car now, so I guess if I can walk between the guys, but still.
The other comment was under the artisan industrial, just to explore live workspaces for entrepreneurs and artisans.
Is that another term you have to define, live work? I had to look it up and think, what the
Live
heck
work.
is a live work?
Live work is just
Work
like
out of your house? I mean,
yeah.
it's
Yeah, basically, kind of.
It's either that or live work could be live above your work and work below in an office or a retail shop or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So it's just another term for mixed use development. So, I mean, I think that works just fine to fit that in there.
This is where I was questioning why Mass Road Connector is just from these 2 points versus going all the way to Shaw's. I mean, I don't follow why it's just this strip of Mass Road versus.
I think they
The whole
just tried to
commercial
break it up
strip.
into manageable amounts
Yeah.
that they could address in each section to show the whole picture would be minuscule.
Yeah, I think the idea was Shaw's was going to be part of the ice house.
No, I understand that, but
You mean go to Dana's?
or why not call this instead of Mass Road Connector, a different district? Because we are approving all of Mass Road, but this applies to
Oh, I
that
see.
strip
Yeah.
of Mass
Oh.
Road.
Yep.
I guess
think
that's what I'm getting at.
Yep.
They probably didn't have any other term they could use.
Yeah.
We used innovation already. What's
Should we
that?
call it?
Yeah, I know, we've used every word we can
Should we
think
call
of
it
here.
the power line corridor
Oh,
district?
geez, power line district,
PSNH
yeah.
district.
Just about.
Abington,
EMF district, yeah. I don't think it really matters what you call that. I really don't.
Call it Uptown.
What's the name of your shop?
Uptown.
Uptown,
No, he's down in the Ice House
The
district.
Uptown district.
He's in Ice
You're in the
House.
You're in the Ice House
Kane and
district.
Joffrey.
Yeah, he's in the Ice House
That'll be
district.
the
Can't use
Uptown
that.
district, yes.
Abington Estates.
Nope, that's not Ice House. You start, and I can't tell where you're starting.
what would you, what
Is
do
this
you
the
call?
school district?
This is pretty much a straight commercial district, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, David,
Is
what
it?
do you call those things
commercial district.
to make them seem nice and homey?
I don't think you can make that area homey.
That's the point, though, is to make it
Yeah.
homey.
Let me think about it.
Yeah. If we can't come up with a name, I mean, we can always change that later. That's
What
an
about
easy-
commercial district?
That's an easy change. It just doesn't ring.
No, I think that's gonna upset people and kind of short sell some of the other things that we're talking about in that area.
Because it's really the crossover of the residential and commercial in that area, isn't
Aren't
it?
they mostly small businesses in there, though?
Yeah.
What do we call it, small business district or something like that?
That'd be good.
Because it is all small businesses in
just
there. There's
mapped
nothing
out
big there.
commercial.
Where is that? What,
Yeah.
are you talking?
What they're calling the
Oh, yeah, you
Metro
don't have a map,
Connector.
do you? He doesn't have a map. It kind of, what's this here? Surratt's is in there, I
Surratt's
think.
Corridor?
Surratt's Corner
Okay,
on down to just before the
Kelly.
I
school.
was headed there
So it's
too.
kind of all
Can
this,
we-
you know,
can
with
we-
the dance school.
Oh,
yeah.
we already call something else the Pinardville corridor, don't we?
Uh,
Can we call it the,
Pinardville Common.
can we call it the Pinardville corridor?
Pinardville Common, so I don't know.
And the next one is the common.
That makes sense, yeah. That actually sounds better.
Because then
Pinardville
you're
corridor.
not making it commercial, because it is both
Yeah, I
commercial
don't
and
wanna-
Yeah,
residential.
that's true. I like that. Pinardville corridor. It goes along with, like you said, the next one, Pinardville. Kind of,
Kinda.
yeah, it kind of goes up.
Or Pinardville Business Corridor.
The problem I have with that, Brian, is it also includes Roy Street and
Yeah, that's true.
Laurier Street.
Desaulnier, yeah, there are a lot of residences up that
I won't
area.
even try that one.
What, Laurier?
No, that's one.
Desaulnier?
Yeah.
Desaulnier, actually.
Disolnia, yeah.
Yeah, Pinardville corridor, I like that.
All right, well,
Okay.
Rob,
that's
does that work for you?
Yeah,
acceptable, I guess.
I can't come up with anything else.
I know.
We can always
Trying to think of a name or something.
There really
Put
isn't, I
it-
mean, it's just not, it's all Pinardville, it's just a
Yeah.
matter of breaking it into sections.
Mhm.
Area 1, Area 2, Area 3, I don't know.
Okay, Pinardville Common.
Yes, seriously, yeah, it's just, you know, yeah.
I
Area
passed.
1, 2,
I
and
passed
3, and
already.
50, and
And then
51.
what you
Yeah.
want- That's the Reds ball field. I don't know what's going on over there.
Where are you at?
On page 51.
Speaking of 51. Okay, it's getting late, we're getting
Now we
really
have an
punchy in
Agenda
here.
21 district.
Oh, Agenda 20, the whole thing is,
The
yeah.
one at the top there.
Throw that in there.
Oh, that's just
Oh,
changing.
that'd really be a red flag.
Agenda 21 corridor, yeah.
That's the ones at the bottom,
Bottom of that.
right here. Oh, enhance the ball field, the park and the ball fields, okay. So Rob Brown had a comment about the field complex should remain open at all times, is what it says. He doesn't want it to be open at all times, he wants it to be, during day hours. So during the day to the general public.
Could we just say readily accessible?
Yeah, that sounds good.
To remain readily accessible.
Should remain readily accessible.
Do we still want to put at all,
No, I don't
during
think
the
readily
time?
No.
Then it's a policy decision afterwards of what is readily
Right.
accessible.
That's the old dump, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Cheryl had a comment here, I was just gonna
Yeah.
bring that up too.
That's what,
There's still gas emissions and everything that come out of there, is what she says. Another consideration is who will monitor the field, the police. Further, what liability would the town have for anyone who injures themselves or whose home is damaged?
Again, that's a policy decision.
yeah, that's just my
If it
concern right
becomes-
now, it's, when someone's there, right, it's a group that is being observed by somebody, but if it's just kind of open,
But this is just suggesting that it's
Yeah.
readily accessible, and when they go to make that policy decision on what that actually means, they can take those into consideration.
Okay.
I think it's okay to keep it as possible, opening that up, I think that's a good suggestion, at least to try to make that a resource for the more people in the community.
Okay.
Especially, if there's kids using it during games, why couldn't kids use it during the regular other hours too? On to the next map. Just road name changes on that one pretty much, I think, which that's okay. Pinardville Common. Number 2.
Where the,
Under the first part though, it says is located at the intersection of Mass Road and College Road.
Yep.
And I think Mike had come up with near
Oh, yeah.
the intersection.
Can be located
I would-
near.
And
Yeah,
it
could be
shouldn't
located
say
near,
is
yeah.
located because it's not there yet.
could be located near,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
On number 2, on the next page, Michael May had a comment on creating a town common. He says, don't like the jog in Mast Road, who's going to pay for all of these improvements? Derek actually had a comment. He said preference, and this is, and the next one down under alternate common design. Preference for the alternative design for the Pinardville Common. The change to the traffic pattern proposed in the plan illustrated on page 53 would make a confusing intersection at College and Mast. It actually appears traffic traveling east would go straight on College rather than continuing on Mast. The alternative plan illustrated on page 57 doesn't create the confusing traffic pattern. So,
The common isn't on page 53.
I don't know, do we have him make a change based on that, or should we make that one the preferred in the big picture and the other one the smaller picture as an alternative? Or, I know that one was the one that required more
What's the difference?
taking
It's
kind of
hard to see
thing.
the difference when
This
one
is
flat.
straight through. This has the bowl.
I think if we label them both as possible,
This is
it's
straight through.
just highlighting that it could be in this area and something to consider in the future.
So this
Yeah,
is-
again, this is illustrative, just ideas.
Oh, it kind of breaks up.
And maybe just take out that that's an alternative town center and
Okay.
Right.
kind of incorporate those two in together
As
and to
both
basically say that those are two
equal
options and there may be 100 other options as well.
Okay.
Okay. David Priest, again, bringing up the feasibility of a joint use facility, school, community center. That's under number 3, school expansion. I know we had gotten some comments from the school. Oh, yeah, Stacy Buckley. Do you want to mention that the school district has plans in place for complete building expansion and renovation? It's probably notable to put that in there.
Could just mirror the language that Tony had put in before regarding the school expansion.
Well, that's more of a bullet point.
Okay, next page, I think is just same map changes as the other one. Page after that is, there's a few comments on the picture. Cheryl, what strikes me is the expansion of the school eliminates the plaza, which houses many small businesses that serve our community. I think, again, this is all.
Yeah, and the green space is the car wash, isn't it?
No.
It isn't the
It's
car
right
wash?
behind here.
No, it's where the, well.
The car
there's-
wash is
there's-
actually still kind of there, but
Is it?
I mean, I
Portion of the
think
business
it's again
Really
comes
hard
back
to
to that blurb that you're indicating that these are illustrative that show possible redevelopment,
Yeah.
not.
And,
not-
part of those, caveats could include that, this would require business owner cooperation and willingness to do something like that. I mean, it's, again, nothing we're trying to force on people, it's ideas.
It's just uncomfortable to look at that and see those, because they don't own those businesses. That's owned by a landlord who might very well be willing to sell, but then they're out of place, and then we've lost a tax base.
Well,
Some tax base. So it's just concerning.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Did we incorporate David's Safe Routes to School project comment someplace in the transportation goals?
Did you say something on safe routes?
I did.
And that,
Didn't see that one.
I'd like to see that.
I think I skipped that one.
I'd like
Must have.
to make sure that it gets in there. and I'd
Safer
also-
streets,
Put under that.
number 4 at Pinardville corridor.
Which page, where is
On the
that?
Mass Road Connector page?
Yeah,
Mass Road Connector, okay.
I think that was where it was at, wasn't it?
No, you had it on page 33, transportation goals is the first time
Oh,
I saw
okay.
it. And,
It should be around the Bartlett School.
but I'd also like to, I'd like to have it there as a bullet point.
I would.
I'd also like to have it on page 54 or 55, where it talks about safe streets.
Safe streets, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You know,
And for those who don't know about Safe Streets, it's a program about, from the Department of Transportation. The Planning Commission or whoever would come in and work with the school board and a committee of kind of identifying a safe route for students to walk to their schools. If there's gaps in sidewalks, they would identify those.
They've done some great work in some of the Manchester schools.
Yeah.
Are there still kids that walk to school?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
Pinardville's got
Trying to
a lot of
encourage
kids
more of
that
them
walk to
because.
school. They have to,
The
they have to
Bartlett.
go through all of those
Bartlett.
Eric, are
driveways
you good
and
with-
curb cuts and
What was
everything
the
else.
second page it was on? I put a note on 33. Where was the other page? I'm sorry.
55,
Okay.
item number 4, safe streets.
Okay, just one there. Oh, thank you.
Thanks.
Does that include all schools? Or just public schools?
It's pretty, well, it would include all schools, probably.
Yeah.
But we just got to get the participation of the employees of the school board and the parents and the people using, the sidewalks. So it's pretty much elementary. The schools that we've been working with are elementary and maybe some middle schools in Manchester. So.
Goffstown looked at it many years ago, and it just never went anyplace.
For the village
on
center.
For the village.
On the rendering picture of the open space,
Did you
the
say that
town
in the
common.
program name?
the
It's the
Pinardville Common.
safe routes to school.
I don't know if you want to use the name.
Yeah, I put a bullet, comment in there to
Add something about that.
add safe routes to school.
Okay, that's the
On
program.
this, on this illustration of the Pinardville Common, I put a comment about it might be helpful to label the streets on the renderings. Do you guys agree with that or no?
No,
No.
because again, it's
It's
a
illustrative.
possible, it's
Yeah,
illustrative.
a lot of those are
And-
not, non-existing streets right now anyway.
Yeah, they don't
And
exist,
people will
most
look
of
for
them.
their home and say, oh.
Could
yeah.
be a block away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially with Mike's comment that it's not at that intersection, it's near that intersection.
Okay. Fine.
Cody's
Take that
Corner.
off. Okay, Cody's Corner. Let's see, so, just a easy comment, developed being changed to first settled. Then there's a comment on the second half, this is from David Priest. There needs to be a gateway, special landscaping to signify you are entering Pinardville.
It's right on the end of a street.
Perhaps coordinated with the Rimmon Heights
I was thinking of that.
sign on the other side of the
Yeah, that's
Marvin
true.
Memorial Bridge.
You see, when you cross the bridge, you're in Pinardville, right?
Abandon all hope while you.
Wonder what those Rimmon Heights signs cost. They used to be lit up.
But a little bit bigger.
With the lights.
With flashing lights, yeah. Welcome to Pinardville. And people will go where?
Where?
Yeah. No, that's further down.
That's coming up.
Yeah, that's further down.
That's down the street.
Can you incorporate some of that, Derek?
Minus the laughter from being here
Okay.
so long.
In the second paragraph, there's some text X'd out. It would look like, instead of in order to establish a
To match,
physical
to match?
presence to match the emotional center created by Cody's, the plan created Cody's Corner. I wrote, Cody's Corner was created in this plan to establish a physical presence that matches the emotional and cultural center that has historically existed at this intersection.
Very nice.
Period. Cody's Corner is embodied by, and then new
Blah, blah,
civic
blah.
space that will become the heart of whatever.
Instead of
That may
was
become.
created,
May.
Illustrated.
was suggested.
Instead of created, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because we're not creating anything.
Yep.
We're just.
Sure.
That's great, Brian.
I would assume in the illustration too, that it should address coming Mass Road as well. You're kind of entering from that direction as well as Pinard Street.
Oh, right.
It should kind of incorporate both directions.
That's true.
It's, they just deal with that one side of the street, there's nothing on the opposite side.
And our sign should say, Goffstown welcomes you to Pinardville on one side, and on the other, Manchester welcomes you to Pinardville on the other side. So,
You're now leaving
That's
Manchester.
pretty
Yeah.
positive, I thought you were gonna come up with something pretty negative.
I thought he was gonna be a wise guy, yeah.
This is the time of night to become wise.
Yes, I know, we're all losing it here. I'm starting to see tree dots everywhere.
Good thing we started at 6
You
instead
can
of 7,
scratch,
right?
scratch my comment, that's a bad comment.
What was your comment?
Identify Cody's and King Lane.
Oh,
Well, I mean,
yeah.
people that who live here will know what's there, it's been there forever.
Okay, we got label streets, label alleys. Next page, Cody's Corner, up at the top, there's a comment from Cheryl.
What? I can't even hardly see right now.
So Cheryl's concern is it loses on 2 counts, no parking. Again, we're talking
I know
to-
it's suggested, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that we need to necessarily.
Well, I mean, but that's a real issue.
Especially with businesses like,
And we have a member on our committee that lives in the neighborhood that says, what are you talking about? How do you address that and soften that issue?
Because you also lose street parking in you can't really
Well,
park that many cars on the
Trees
street.
don't necessarily mean you lose the parking.
Well, if you
Yeah.
look at it, you do, it's up against,
But they go up and can overhang. You can park under the tree.
right.
You can put it in a 3-foot by 3-foot box area, and that's the trunk, so it doesn't necessarily imply that there's lost parking there.
but if you look at it, it's
That one,
right,
yes.
yes.
I agree with.
And there's
yeah,
not a
I'm
lot
just
of
saying,
space there to
but on
do
the-
that
on the
without
street-
taking away.
This street here, that
Another-
doesn't necessarily imply that.
Another reason for moving and making that green space right in front of the building was because of the interference that Laurier has with that other intersection. And, you know, it creates a very strange and dangerous intersection. And so they were trying to come up with a concept that could help that. And yeah, it would take some redesigning and figuring out on how to make those properties accessible and still
Yeah,
workable
'cause
for what they are. But
Cross Street is one way in,
that was
though.
that was the intent.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they look like they've moved all the driveways behind the houses through an alleyway. That's
Yeah.
what it appears
Is there
to
a
me.
memorial plan
Yeah.
for Edmund Pinard anywhere in any of this?
A memorial plan.
Is there any kind of a remembrance of any kind, a plaque or something for Edmund Pinard?
Not that currently exists, not that I know of.
Do you know where his house was at?
It's
It's
named for
easier
him.
now.
1906, I believe, is when he.
And we can talk to Dan LaRochelle about it, but it was my understanding that he worked over in Manchester. He actually owned a grocery store on Elm Street.
He did own a grocery
And
store.
I always assumed that he lived over there, and he developed this, but I don't know that he necessarily.
I see. Maybe.
You know,
he
I read
presided
something
over
about it. I'll see if I can.
And I could talk to Dan LaRochelle
Yeah.
about that.
Okay.
Can we add under streetscape improvements a final line that says assuring
Kind of
adequate
plaque, I mean.
on-street and
There should be
off-street
something.
parking
Not, right?
should remain a priority?
There's something
What
that
is
I
that?
read about.
Number 2 in
One
Cody's
of those
Corner.
union leader books about the history. of
It was
Manchester.
100-year-old. Oh. Pinardville.
Yeah.
Assuring, say that
2006,
again.
they had a
Yeah.
centennial
Adequate
for him or something.
on-street and off-street parking should remain a priority.
On street and off street?
Yeah.
Off-street
Right.
parking.
Yeah, because he gets busy in the mornings, and a lot of people go there.
Yeah.
It's,
Could hurt him,
is it assuring or insuring?
assuring.
Ensuring.
Ensure,
Yeah.
either way, it's the
Yeah,
same.
I would say
Sure.
assure.
I would say assure,
Okay.
to assure.
Whatever.
I think it's relative.
Is this corner actually called now Cody's Corner, or has it just been
No,
called that?
I think that's.
This
what
I'm
is-
wondering if we're
What we're calling it because
putting a
of
name on it
this
that's
plan.
related to a business, or
it's
wondering
just
if
what
we
he
should.
called it.
Well, I think
Should be Uptown Corner.
The thing is, he has to identify them by something that's some way
I
to
hear
identify, so
you.
people know what it is that they're talking
I'm
about.
saying all the other ones.
Cody's
Post Mass
Cody's
Road.
and King's Bowling Lane have been the two.
Yeah,
that
they've
have
been there
there
forever.
Yeah.
So everybody knows it as Cody, I mean, people know it
Even,
like
yeah,
that.
and I think this is a snapshot in time. When we're doing
Yeah.
this study,
King's
Cody's
Corner.
Diner is still a
Yeah.
fixture at that location.
Yeah.
I'm sure comfortable with that, just
Yeah.
Okay,
didn't know we're naming it.
let's move on.
All right.
Oh, you
Anything else
gotta
on that
change this
page? Just
thing.
some minor
What did you say
text
it was?
amendments,
Innovation
but I
district.
think we just
Innovation.
skip that.
Gotta change that title again.
Let's see.
Look, I already did it.
On to page 62, Creativity Village.
We're changing
So
that
we're
to
gonna
innovation
call that to Innovation
district
District.
and student housing.
No.
Is it just innovation district, or was it innovation district?
District, yeah.
We're dropping the student housing, just
Okay, we're
innovation
dropping it
district.
also? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, drop student housing.
I'll make that consistent throughout.
Okay.
And on one of these, just so you know, one of the roads is misnamed on campus.
Yeah,
Should be Rundlet Hill.
Yeah, I changed that on
Okay.
mine. St. Anselm instead of St. Anselm. That's just a
It's S-E-L-M. It's not Slem, it's Selm.
Yeah,
S-E-L-M.
it's misspelled.
Selm. Everyone always says Slem, I don't know why.
Yeah.
Oh, they had it right in some
Do it all the
places,
time.
but, okay.
I got it on the phone.
Oh,
at
did
work,
they
I get
miss
calls.
one spot?
Yeah, they did
Parents
on
with
the
Yeah, a
kids
map.
go,
couple
they
on
would
the
call
map.
me, call it Anselm. It's
Okay.
like, no.
All right.
Anselm.
There was a comment midway.
Anselm.
What was that one?
S-E-L-M.
Oh, this.
Yeah, don't spell the college's name.
No.
And that
It's
was
like, whoa.
comment about the
Saint.
double page thing,
Saint.
but that's okay.
And it is S-T.
And the road is
period.
also
It's
wrong,
not
too.
S-A-I-N.
You gotta change the road to ZL.
What's that?
It's S-T, it's not S-A-I-N-T.
No, it's
Yeah.
it's fully spelled out.
Is it?
On their entrance sign it is.
Yeah, it's fully spelled out, and we've made an effort not to do ST period.
Really?
And also the road there, Brian, is also, the alley is reversed on St. Anselm Drive.
Yep,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
and the college.
Are they gonna be building a new dormitory?
Which one? I'm
They
sorry.
On St. Anselm Drive, it's also reversed. The L&E is also reversed.
Okay, we can
That
just
should
do
be
a
an
find
avenue.
throughout and
Okay.
change throughout.
Avenue would
St.
mean,
Anselm should be an avenue.
if
Now,
it's like
I
that.
put a comment on,
Yeah.
I was curious about the red buildings
That
on
would
this
be,
map.
I've always thought.
I wasn't sure
Be
what
pretty
they
nice,
were.
wouldn't it?
The bright red one? That's
Yeah.
the barn. That's like, I think that's somewhat historic too. That's the
Very
barn now.
nice.
It's the carpenter shop.
Okay, I know they spoke to that,
Private
that they,
entrance,
they
right.
wanted to keep that.
Yes, yeah.
Is that the one across from
College
Kimball?
wants to keep it?
I think- Yes,
Set
that's
it
the
off.
bright red. I don't know why they made it bright red, but that is the,
There were some other smaller bright red ones on this map that I was very confused about why they were bright red
They're
too.
over at,
There's one
they're
right-
at
Instead of a
Roy
bumpy
Park.
road with potholes.
Rosemont.
Yes.
They're at Roy Park.
Those
Yeah.
are Roy Park, but then there's some smaller ones also inside the electrical easement. There's something red in the ends of each of those.
oh, yeah.
So I was,
See, that's why it'd be nice if you had some kind of a
I think
legend
what
that
they were
showed.
trying to do, if you look at, if you look at 2 and you see the highlighted red, I think they were just trying to match that up with the number area, so you can tell which building
There's a
they're
little
talking
dot
about.
there too.
oh, maybe.
This little tiny
Hmm.
dot too is red. I wonder what
Yeah.
that is.
Like when you look at 6 for the barn, you can see which
I
building
can't tell what
that
that is.
highlights, or 4, you can see where they're talking about.
On the next
Okay.
I think that was what they were doing.
Oh,
'Cause I tried to
possibly,
figure
yeah.
that out too.
Yeah,
I only know the barn, I don't know that little tiny dot.
Round Hill Road is Rundle.
Rundle, yeah. I laughed when I saw that.
I did too. I was like, Round Hill, where did we get Round Hill?
I don't know.
And that also connects down by the Dana Center and ice rink, and that doesn't exist anymore, really. I don't know.
What do you mean?
Put something out there that,
Oh, the Dana Center's still there.
no, the road in front of it, they've taken that out. I don't know if we're suggesting something there that,
They're doing some building now, but I don't know what it is. There's
they took out all the parking and made it a quadrangle.
Yeah,
It's gorgeous.
It's great, and
Yeah.
I don't know if we're suggesting something there that really shouldn't be shown on their campus.
you mean this here?
This
Or where
this
it's-
road
oh, in here?
is now gone.
It's
They
taking
did
liberties
get rid
with
of the whole
St.
road,
A's
actually?
campus for sure.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't
think
know.
anyone's gonna
I don't know that they're going to
scrutinize
have
that
a problem
Except
with
them.
you know, concepts because they know they have the control. But
I didn't know they took out the whole road.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
gated, but it's like a walk.
Has there been any comment from the college on paragraph 5, or?
They haven't seen this yet.
they haven't they haven't submitted any comments.
Well, Bill's on the committee, but he's
Discussions.
never here.
Yeah, Bill Furlong did send me an email saying he wasn't going to be here, but I'm not sure if he's looked at it or not. Seeing as okay.
We gotta
What's the
see that
concern on number
Creativity
5
Village is in
there?
here again.
Well, I don't know if they would consider all of that as desirable as the town would.
I think at a minimum, it would be nice if they did for Pinardville what the New Hampshire Institute of Art has done for Manchester in terms of new student housing that really connects to some of the commercial districts.
Exactly, yeah.
You mean off campus, off site?
Yeah.
They own a
Well,
lot of properties, that's for sure.
They own properties around the campus, which I'm always confused about. You know, do they consider their properties that are around the campus to be now part of the campus, or is it, you know,
Well,
is
some
it just
they
that
use,
portion
they
that's
use them.
south of St. Anselm Drive as the campus, or, you know, that's, I don't know.
Yeah, they
But-
do, because they have students that live in some of the houses they bought, up further up, as they go up the road, they do have student housing in some of the homes, and they just use them as housing. So, yeah, I think they do.
I don't know that there's anything majorly substantial.
Just
on
in
this
number
page.
5, you have to change Creativity Village to Innovation District.
Yeah, we'll change
Paragraph,
those,
yeah,
we'll change those
okay.
throughout.
Okay. Yeah, see, that says preserve existing barn, Brian, that's why he made it red.
I did make a comment on number 4, that there's an existing pedestrian path already there, I think.
Yeah, that goes down from the college,
Goes down into
through
Roy
the woods
Park.
and comes out behind the boys' club. And
Yeah.
also you can cut through the park, but it also comes down behind the boys' club and kind of goes that whole area as a cut through.
So, I don't know if we maybe just
It's just a woodsy
say
path.
enhance the trail and make it more
Yeah.
formal kind of thing, if that's a better way to say that.
Yeah, 'cause it is there, it's just a very woodsy path, it's not, yeah.
Oh, wait. At the very, very end,
What page are you on?
last page, there's an afterward comment.
Tony Moritz has an afterward.
Okay.
Of course he does.
Thank
Oh,
you
before,
for your
during, and after.
interest in and support of this Pinardville Community Plan. It is the hope of its authors, including the participating members of the Pinardville community, that this plan will be adopted as part of the Town of Goffstown's master plan and serve as the foundation for adoption of a Pinardville-focused smart code for the preservation and renewal of a sustainable Pinardville community. Pinardville has always had a lot to offer the town of Goffstown, the city of Manchester, and the surrounding communities. We trust that this renewed focus on Pinardville will provide its residents with the tools they need to assure its survival as a place we want to live and work in and call home.
Excellent.
Nicely said.
I like your ADD.
And put it with the picture, if we can,
A better picture than this.
yeah.
Yeah,
So it has
A
good
real
clo-
picture would
help
be nice.
Make it a closer.
yeah, real
It should be
picture.
on the
would be
inside.
A
Side
real
back.
picture of Pinardville, the nicer part of it would be nice, or they get off from Google Earth or Street View or something.
Or something you can find historic from
Yeah.
from Dan La Rochelle.
Or
That would be
picture
really
of the
nice.
Ice house.
Oh, geez. Yeah, there's an attraction. The little park at Abingdon, just that with the flag at
Yep.
night with the
Maybe a
flagpole.
picture of
Thank
that
you.
Pinardville plaque that's on the King Bowling Lanes
No, I like the park at Abingdon with the night at night with the flagpole.
on Edmund Pinard.
That would be a nice kind of picture to put. It's something we'd like. Something like that, yeah.
Thanks.
I had to go back and look.
Okay.
Is he gonna send it?
So,
There's a website.
Well, I know Dana and
Yeah,
Katie,
the
so,
ones that were fed up with me.
I can't,
Came across the
can't,
bridge.
Yeah,
speak
I-
on financial facts, so I
That
can
has a
look,
lot of photos.
so I don't know. I mean, it's a good, it's a nice, are you gonna send it to him, or?
No, I'm gonna send it to the letter to the editor.
Oh, okay.
I've seen it.
You've seen this.
He emailed it to me.
What's this?
One thing, oh, you have it? Okay.
The Sun News
Rosemary
had a
has it.
letter to the editor that was
Harsh.
harsh, and I would like personally to send a letter in response that encourages more support for the process, which has been an ongoing process. I'm not asking that the committee as a whole sign off on anything, but that as individual committee members, if we thought it appropriate to sign our names to it.
Yes, this is
And-
very
and
good.
again, I mean, I'd like, one approach is not to say anything, but the reality is this is a really public process, and I don't think things like that should go on
Exactly.
responded to.
Yeah,
So,
I think this is very good, Tony.
so I'm gonna, I mean, I'd like to assure nobody says this is an absolutely stupid idea, but then I would then send it as a letter to the editor and sign my name to it as a member of the committee. And it would be helpful if other people, especially people who live in Pinardville, signed on as well.
Okay.
I wouldn't have a problem with it coming from the committee, from me.
Well, I just like the Pinardville Facebook page, which I didn't know existed until this afternoon.
Oh, the Plan Pinardville Facebook?
No, a Pinardville
Oh.
Facebook page.
Yeah. There is just a Pinardville Facebook?
And there's
Yeah.
a lot of,
Oh.
lot of likes on it, and there's a lot of people that have been there.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Is it worth considering, Rosemary, a response from the committee as a whole?
Do you want to make a motion?
Yeah.
Do we have a quorum to do so, or?
You don't have a
No,
quorum.
we don't have a quorum.
We're
anymore.
missing one person.
Do you want to take a consensus vote?
Yeah.
All those who are inclined to join him?
Could we, Are we gonna speak on the motion, or? are we
Yeah,
gonna
no,
do-
I'd rather have some discussion.
Before we take it, and I don't disagree with a position of our own, but could we reach out, I don't know Mr. Benner, but could we reach out to him and,
Some of us have spent a lot of time with him.
Yes.
you have?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know him. All right.
He was here last time.
He was here the last time, spoke at length, and I spoke at length with him afterwards. I know he and his wife have spent a lot of time with Brian, so they're fully informed. One of their key issues, rightfully so, was the connection of Joffrey and
Right,
those other
right,
streets,
Right.
which, I mean, that's heard loud and clear, and I
Not
think
gonna happen.
it's not
It's
gonna
not gonna
happen.
happen.
Right, that's
shouldn't
already a moot
And
point.
my concern is that leads over into a general dislike of the project.
Right, right.
And we just can't allow that one issue to stop all these other important things.
Right.
Because we're on their side.
Yeah.
On
Sure
the
are.
issue specific.
Oh, absolutely. Right.
They're friends of mine to a degree, and so I could not sign on to anything, because I'm not gonna jeopardize a friendship over something like this. It's anybody's right to send a letter to the editor, so you're certainly well within your rights to send it. But maybe just let them know, if that is their core issue, and that's what's really upsetting them, perhaps once they heard that indeed the streets,
The problem is.
I don't know,
yeah.
I don't know.
the problem I have is we're definitely in a position to resolve issues directly with the Benners, but the damage has been done
Yeah.
to the overall community.
Well, yeah, if the facts are wrong in the letter.
So I
that you
guess
wrote,
I
then
would-
certainly, can you?
I would really send it as beginning instead of your letter, but Mr. Benner's letter published in the Goffstown News does a disservice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, instead of addressing it directly to him, that
right,
starts a,
right.
yeah, that will start a, yeah.
That's a good
You don't
point.
want to start that, yeah. So, yeah, and I mean, if you can state a fact, were the school numbers wrong, how much it costs to educate a kid?
I don't
mean,
wanna
don't
talk
know.
about those
No, but I
issues,
know,
yeah.
but I mean, that was at the heart of what he's talking about too.
It
I
is,
think.
and I've
I mean, I
had
read the letter, but I didn't really study
a
it.
long discussion with he and or his wife about
Okay, yeah, I don't know,
how
so,
unreliable those figures are.
yeah,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Well, and one of the things that bothered me, both in their visits to the Board of Selectmen, their visits to us at the last meeting, their door-to-door visits, because living in the area, I wound up getting a door-to-door visit, as well as this letter, is that they are trying to undo something that they cannot undo, which is the Moose Club Park apartments. That's a dead issue. There is nothing that can be done about that.
I did talk to them, and I think that finally got through. I did tell them that was
Did
a moot point. I said, you're beating a dead horse, that's not, drop that part.
Right.
So I believe they did understand that.
what's the name of this committee?
No, I don't know. Ad hoc committee. I hope it's not gonna bother you that I am friends with them, or have
No, not at
because I
all.
just wouldn't
No.
feel.
I think, no, everyone has the right to be heard, and I think there's nothing wrong with, but we don't, undermining a plan,
Yeah,
I get that, but, you know.
And the process that we have undertaken to get where we're at right now. I mean, we've been very transparent,
Right.
and we continue to be so.
And will continue to
And will
be so.
compete, and to say that we're doing this underhanded is, it's not right.
So we continue that message, and we invite anyone with questions to come
And talk with us.
and talk with us. But we can't prevent people from saying bad things about
No.
what we're doing.
Or
No,
slandering
no,
us.
that's-
but-
I would be
Free
careful,
speech.
I would be careful about inviting them to come and talk to us, because that implies that the committee will always have a public comment period, and that's not necessarily going to be the
But
case.
we're gonna have a
But
public
they
comment, but-
certainly are welcome to come and talk to any individual one of us. If they happen to stop by your business and say, hey, John, I'd like to talk to you about this, or they catch me at the grocery store or on the street, that's a different story. But to tell them that they're welcome to come and talk to us, that implies they're welcome to come and talk to us at a public meeting, and that may not be the case.
But we
Because
do
there may
have-
not be a
We do have a series from here, we have a series of public hearings.
public hearings, which is different from a public meeting. A public hearing, they certainly have an opportunity and a right to speak. But at a public meeting, that's up to the committee as to whether or not there will be a public comment
Well,
portion.
can I change that to please come and participate in the process?
Or witness the process, and we can come in and, see what's going on.
Yeah, well,
Some
it's
way.
participating.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
Sure,
that's true.
sure.
Witnessing
participating,
is-
applying, talking.
Not necessarily.
The other mistake I make is I mentioned that street in Manchester, which is not to be named. How would you word something like that, David?
Oh, the,
Continuing the trend toward,
Oh,
Over commercialization of Mass Road.
development or?
I called it strip commercial, strip commercial corridor.
I would say over commercialization of Mass Road.
toward over-commercialization?
That's what they're concerned about, too much
Too
commercial,
much,
big business.
yeah.
They don't want to see Walmart's, Targets. Nobody does.
And we want jobs, basically.
Good paying jobs,
Good
not
young
minimum wage
people
all the
with
time.
jobs and, and
That's a big word,
I know.
over-commercialization.
But they'll understand it.
Overexposed, commercialized.
Mm.
I think that's already been used.
are we finished?
No,
No.
not quite. We need
Maybe they
to let Tony know whether or not this is something that he should go forward with. And it sounds like there's a consensus that
Yes.
That fits the neighborhood, period.
he may go forward with this.
Very nice.
Yeah.
My next question is, according to our schedule list, we have a meeting on the 30th.
Did we deal with me first?
Yes, we said we have a consensus that
Okay,
you can
great.
go forward.
I'm gonna change, I'm gonna take out, rather than continuing the trend, and just stop after development that fits the neighborhood.
Right, yeah, good.
Thank you. Sure.
Am I correct, Brian, that we have a meeting on the 30th of July? That's
I
one
thought
of
we
the
had one
dates
before
you've
that,
got.
before the smart code. I thought it was the 16th.
That's the last schedule that I gave to you guys?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it says ad hoc committee meeting via Skype, code initial draft.
Oh, I thought it was the 16th, but I must be reading his column and not ours. Oh, yeah, I'm reading the
I don't have
19th
schedule
on.
on me, so
Hold on.
Presentation of first draft code to ad hoc committee.
that's probably right then.
So we do have a meeting on the
Explain
30th.
to me, why are there two dates here? These always confuse me.
Oh,
What are
one
these?
of my, yes, that is the right,
Deadline
that
dates?
is the right date. Now, one other item of
This one goes to here.
scheduling that I wanted to talk to you about. The 8/27 change that we made last time,
Yeah,
I did talk to Brian Wright, and he is not available on that date. So I think we should just keep it on the 8/20 date that we had originally on our calendar.
Can you send an email around with an updated schedule?
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Just, not this whole big thing, but these are the meetings we gotta be at.
Yeah,
Schedule.
yeah.
Do that.
Dates, yeah.
Okay, and the rest is pretty internal. to
the
you.
30th is definitely a date with Brian, though.
7:30, July 30th.
That's our next meeting.
Yeah, that's our next meeting. That's right.
But
And
public-
At what hour of the day?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock?
But
I think that's appropriate. In order to help Bill get here, he said the 6 o'clock time frame doesn't work for him very well. And I
Which
think
Bill?
Bill Surratt.
He may not be available for much of anything because he's having knee replacement surgery. He finally opted to have it done. So I don't know how available he's gonna be for anything.
I think the 6 o'clock times, I mean, they've worked okay for the past 2 meetings, I think, for some people, but we obviously don't have the whole committee here, and obviously this is also a holiday weekend too, but I don't know. What do you guys think? You want me to do 6, or you want me to do 6?
I like the earlier start,
I do too.
6 is, yeah,
especially,
considering, right.
you know, looking at the time now.
It was 7 now.
God bless us, yeah.
Not all of our meetings are gonna go this long.
No, I understand, but it's just,
6 o'clock is good.
are you anticipating in here again?
Possibly,
Okay, you'll let us know.
yeah.
Okay.
I don't know yet.
Brian. On the 16th, it says the final plan submitted to the town by TPUDC. Are we gonna get sent copies of that plan?
Yes.
Because it
Well,
goes to public review, so we should have some copy as committee members so we
Yeah.
know what we're talking about.
Similar to how I did it before, well,
I
didn't know you
I
wanted-
didn't get one.
And actually, I handed them out at a meeting.
Okay.
But I'll have to print them and send them to you guys this time, because that'll start our 30-day review period.
Yeah, that's why I was saying we need a
As
copy
soon
of
as-
that so we
as
can
soon
know
as I
what people
get
are
it,
talking about.
I'll be forwarding it to you, and I'll be putting it online, and I'll be sending out a notice on our website saying, you know, here's the public review period, and I'll probably
The church
do
space
lots
was
of
actually,
public notification.
I thought Carlos Adams was gonna be here tonight.
Yeah.
I thought he was. I watched the selectmen's meeting. I thought he said he was gonna be here.
With Carlos?
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
he said.
He was
That's
supposed
what
to
I-
be here in
just
place of
dawned on
Mark,
me.
because
Yeah.
Mark is on vacation this week.
So I had a question I wanted to ask.
Okay,
him.
I
Oh,
guess
well.
that's all, so need a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, amen.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Good night, and thank you very much for all of your work tonight and last week in preparation. Appreciate it.